And Mr. Youngkin, just to be clear, you do understand that you are under oath. You were sworn in yesterday and you remain under oath at this time for cross-examination.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hilliard.
Mr. Youngkin, good morning. How are you? Since yesterday, have you spoken with anyone about the case or your testimony?
No.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to approach, if I could, the witness of State's Exhibit 9 and have you look at it real quick. You could just briefly state what that is.
The layout of the house on Buckhalter Road.
And if you would, just explain to the jury where the front door is that the room that y'all lived in and slept in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you would, kind of explain where the front door is. We've seen pictures. Give me 1 second. I might can give you a better picture. Show you, we're trying to intend to admit the State's Exhibit number 10 and picture 26 on State's Exhibit number 10. Is that the front door at 535 Buckhalter?
Yes, sir.
And is this, as you enter the doorway, a picture of the sofa to the left?
Yes, sir.
And the picture to the right is kind of over in the corner. It's the race car. That's where Zane slept.
Yes, sir.
And this is a TV.
Yes, sir.
And I assume there's a little chair in front of it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's the crib that Quinton slept in, correct?
Yes, sir. The playpen.
And that's the pictures of inside the crib, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to go all the way back here. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm trying to understand the back part of the room. Get to it. The back part of the room, as you walk in the door and look all the way to the back, is where the bed was, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you have to walk past the bed in order to walk in and out the back door, the dining room. Let me rephrase that. Is this about where the bed's at in the back part of the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is where you have to walk through to get out to the dining room and the living room, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, on the night of October 5th, were you sleeping in that bed?
Yes, sir.
And was Miss Simon sleeping in that bed with you?
At some point.
At some point, okay. So, and again, not trying to put words in your mouth. The bed, in order to walk in and out the back dining room or living room door, you have to walk right by that bed, correct?
Yes, sir. You have to walk by it.
And it's in the back part of the room away from the children, correct?
Yes, sir. Towards the window in the corner.
Okay. And you say that's where you were sleeping, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it wasn't upstairs, it wasn't a different bedroom, it wasn't anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. So, what time did you wake up on the morning of October 5th?
I would believe around right before I sent the text message to Miss Michelle.
Okay. And I'm not trying to put...
5:18.
So 5:15, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you texted Miss Michelle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you woke up and texted Miss Michelle, I assume you then left to go to work, correct?
I got ready and left, yes, sir.
All right. And what did you drive on the way to work?
The Dodge Journey.
And I'm going to show you some pictures. Mark the State's Exhibit 11. If you would look through State's Exhibit 11. Is that the Dodge Journey that you drove?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you left and you went to work, clocked in around 6:10, 6:15, correct?
Yes, sir. Whatever time the clock kind has me at, yes, sir.
All right. Did you make any stops along the way?
No, sir.
All right. You see in there a curveball, a fireball, and a natural light container, correct? As well as an orange vest or some sort of color.
Fireball, Sprite, another shot, orange vest, natural light. Yep.
And were those yours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when did you deposit them there?
To be honest, I don't know.
But they're yours?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to assume on October 5th, the police seized the van, correct?
Yeah, it was in the driveway.
Just trying to set up, okay? But were those fair and accurate pictures of the van that morning?
Yes, sir.
All right. So do you know what time you left the house?
Not precisely.
Okay. And where exactly is the warehouse you work at?
Port Wentworth.
Okay. So that time of morning, what's the drive like?
Pretty heavy traffic for the most part.
How long does it normally take you to get there?
20, 25
20, 25 minutes? Okay. And I was curious, Mr. Dean played the video of you running in and then running out a short time later. What were you running in for?
I was probably a few minutes late.
You're already 10 or 15 minutes late though, weren't you?
I don't know, to be precise. Whatever time the clocking was.
Whatever the clock says is what it was, but you were already late, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, you said that you and Miss Simon met in 2020, correct?
Somewhere along those lines.
Okay. And that was in Dunn, North Carolina?
In person, yep.
Right. And that was where you were at, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she traveled up there. Y'all lived together for a minute, correct?
Absolutely.
How old are you, Mr. Youngkin? And today?
Today, I'm 30.
Okay. And how old would you have been back then? 28, 27?
27, 26.
Okay. In 2020, you'd have been 26, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. In October of 2022, probably 28, 27, something like that?
Yeah.
All right. So, when did you move back to Savannah?
I moved to Savannah. I didn't move back to Savannah.
Well, when did you move to Savannah then?
4 or 5 months into her pregnancy.
All right, so when was Sky born? What year? What month?
June 5th.
2022? Am I correct? All right, so it would have been, again, February, March of 2022 you moved down here maybe?
Sounds about right.
Okay. And you lived at 535 ― correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was Billy and Thomas's house, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you pay any rent while you lived there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you paid it to Billy and Thomas?
Cash out to Billy.
Okay. And you lived there, and again, I'm just trying to recount it. When you first moved in, it was Joe that lived there, right?
Yes, sir. We lived upstairs.
All right. And it was you and Zane and Quinton and Leilani and Billy and Thomas and Joe, right?
Before Sky was born, yeah.
Right. And then Sky was born. And then if I just remember correctly, then Joe moved out and Paul moved in, correct?
Somewhere along those lines, yeah.
So around the summer of 2022, that's an accurate picture of who was residing in the house, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is it safe to say that y'all both took care of these kids and took the kids back and forth to the babysitter?
For the most part, it was me.
So for the most part, it was you?
Yeah.
Okay. So on a daily basis, who was the one that would normally take them over to the babysitter?
Me.
All right. And how often would Leilani do it?
Rarely.
All right. So, and who would pick them up in the afternoon?
Me.
All right.
If she worked, then both of us. If she worked.
If she worked? Okay. And so it was not unusual that you were the one who took care of these children, correct?
Correct.
All right. And it's not uncommon that you were the one that interacted with the babysitter, correct?
Correct.
And now let's talk about how often would you drink?
Daily.
How often daily?
As I stated yesterday, about 5 shots of Fireball and 3 to 4 25-ounce beers.
Okay. And when did you normally drink? What was your routine?
Well, I couldn't leave work, so I'd go to work and I'd get off work and I'd stop by the liquor store in Port Wentworth on the way back to the house.
Okay. Did you ever stop by on the way to work?
No, they weren't open.
Did you ever drink before work?
They weren't open.
That's not the same question.
No, sir.
Okay. You can buy it ahead of time.
No, I drank to where there was nothing left.
So it's safe to say that your drinking habits were mostly after work and in the evenings.
Yeah.
Okay. And you, by your own admission, drank 4 or 5 Fireballs, and at least in this case, we knew a curveball and Natural Light. And then you said the 25-ounce, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so now let's talk about the week leading up to October 5th. Were you and Leilani bickering or fighting that week?
Probably.
Okay. Let me ask a more refined question then. You said it was not unusual for her to go to Arkwright Road. Why is that?
For her to what?
Not unusual for. You said it was not unusual for her to go to Arkwright Road. Why was that?
To where?
Arkwright Road. 204.
Oh, no, not unusual.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. After she had her wisdom teeth out on October 4th, did y'all go by 204 on the way home?
Possibly.
Possibly? Or
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
All right. Well, do you recall saying that you did?
I said it was a possibility, or probably did. I mean, I told you I went by the liquor store while she was at the dentist's office. So I had already drank at that point.
Well, what type of drinker are you? Are you a blackout drinker or a pass-out drinker?
Neither.
Okay. So you just said you didn't remember. You'd already been by the liquor store. I was wondering what going by the liquor store would have to do with affecting your memory.
I just don't have great memory. I used to do a lot of drugs.
All right. What kind of drugs did you used to do, Mr. Youngkin?
Cocaine and marijuana.
Okay. And let me ask this. In the weeks, days, and hours leading up to October 5th, were you doing cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol?
Not marijuana, but cocaine and alcohol, yes, sir.
Okay. And when were you doing cocaine and alcohol?
After work.
On a daily basis?
Yeah.
Okay. So, matter of fact, if you didn't drink and drug, it would have been unusual. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you did drink and drug, where did you normally do it at?
In the house.
Where at in the house?
On a dresser that was next to the bed.
All right. So you would do it in the room where the kids were?
Unfortunately.
Okay. And I'm not trying to pry or anything, just asking. So whenever you, and there's different ways to do it. You can smoke cocaine,
No.
sniff cocaine, shoot cocaine.
No.
How did you do cocaine?
Sniff.
Okay. So when you're doing that, wouldn't you have to explain how you would normally do that? How would you sniff the cocaine? What was your routine?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay. Well, would you buy it?
Yeah.
Or would you send Leilani to buy it?
I would buy it, or she would go buy it. I don't get
Okay.
it.
And did you have a dresser? You said the dresser that you put it on was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you leave it on the dresser? Would you put it on a plate? What would you do with it?
On the dresser, it would be in a bag and sniff it out of the bag or put a line on the dresser and sniff it off the dresser.
All right, so and that's kind of the point I'm getting to. It's either in the bag or the dresser, and you sniff it from the bag.
The dresser's like this tall.
Well, that's fine. I'm just asking. The point is it was out on the dresser in the bedroom where the children were. That's my point.
Sure.
Okay. Now, is cocaine more of a stimulant or more of a depressant? Does cocaine give you energy or does cocaine make you sleepy?
For me?
Yes.
Sleepy, honestly.
And that's a fair assessment. So cocaine makes you sleepy. Does alcohol make you sleepy or energize you?
I kind of just evened out.
So in your case, cocaine made you sleepy and alcohol would give you a little bit of energy and it kind of evened you out.
Sure.
Now, when you did cocaine, would you also drink?
Yes.
Okay. And how much would you drink at that point in time?
I don't have an exact measurement.
Okay. Did you smoke at the same time?
No, I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke marijuana. I was not.
Cigarettes?
Cigarettes?
Yes.
Not often.
But when you did cocaine and drank, would you smoke cigarettes?
Sure.
Okay. And when you smoke cigarettes, would you smoke the cigarettes in the house or outside the house?
Outside.
Okay. Why was that?
So the house didn't smell like cigarettes?
And it wasn't your house, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. And I'm going to assume, and again, I don't think you had permission to smoke in the house, did you?
No, sir.
And I'm fairly certain you didn't have permission to do cocaine in the house either, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, so you're not sure if you went to 204 after she had her wisdom teeth out. Y'all came home. You stopped by Cheddar's on the way home, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got something to eat, came home, and she took her medicine and knocked herself out, right?
Sure. I'm not 100% sure. I honestly can't say for certain. But I mean, yeah, that's my recollection of it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Y'all lived in this room, right?
For the most part.
Okay. It's an open room, correct?
Yeah.
The bed's in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
The entertainment for the children is in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
The place the children sleep is in that room, correct?
Yes, sir.
If you were interacting with the children, laying down, watching TV, or doing any of these things in your room, and she was sleeping, you would notice it, correct?
More than likely, yeah. I mean, as I said yesterday, we were at a point where I didn't really pay much attention to what she was doing.
Okay. Well, do you recall telling the police that she went to sleep that afternoon?
Yeah, I mean...
Any reason why you make that up?
No.
Okay. So, what time did she wake up that afternoon?
I don't remember.
All right. How did the kids get back from Michelle's that afternoon?
I believe we both went to pick them up.
So, and what time was that?
Around 4:30 or 5.
All right. Which is a normal time, right?
I guess. I mean, it's a couple hours later because we normally get off at like 2 or 3.
All right. So, 5 o'clock, Quinton's fine, Zane's fine, and Sky's fine, correct?
Yes, sir.
At 6 o'clock on the evening of October 4th, Quinton's fine, Zane's fine, and Sky's fine, correct?
Yes, sir.
What are you and Leilani doing at that point in time?
I don't remember.
Okay. 7 o'clock, are the children fine?
Yes, to my knowledge.
What are you and Leilani doing at 7 o'clock?
I can't say for certain.
8 o'clock, are the children fine?
Yeah, to my knowledge. Absolutely.
What are you and Leilani doing at 8 o'clock?
I can't be 100% certain. I was probably making dinner.
Okay. And 10 o'clock, the kids are laying down for bed, going to sleep at this point in time, correct?
Yeah. That was I.
Zane's in his bed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you actually lay eyes on him?
I mean, he's visible.
Okay. Quinton's in his bed. Did you actually lay eyes on him?
He's not as visible, but yes.
Okay. And Sky's in her, I guess it's like crib or whatever it is, next to the couch, right? And you actually laid eyes on her as well, correct?
Yeah, she was at the end of the bed.
All right. So at 10 o'clock, kids are fine. You're there. Are you drinking or drugging at this point in time?
10 o'clock?
Yes.
No.
All right. And so at 10 o'clock, was there any conversation about going to 204 that night between you and Leilani?
Yeah, there's text messages.
And what was the nature of that conversation?
She said she was going to go to 204 and come back. I said, okay, can you make it quick? I'd like to watch a movie and go to sleep so we can go to work.
All right. And that's basically what your text message said. Come on back. See you soon.
Please.
Let's watch a movie, right?
Please, yes.
So there was no, at least I'm not putting your words in your mouth. From the text messages, there didn't seem to be any animosity between y'all at that point in time, correct?
For the most part.
Yeah. Just looking forward to laying down, watching a movie together, right?
For the most part.
Okay. And again, were you drinking or doing any drugs that night?
That night?
Yes.
You said 10 o'clock.
At that night, after this, anytime that night.
Prior to 10 o'clock? Yeah, prior to when I laid down, yes.
Okay, what were you doing prior to 10 o'clock?
Drinking and the rest of the little bit of cocaine I had.
So you were drinking and doing cocaine up to 10 o'clock. And is that why you sent her to 204 to get some more?
I didn't send her to 10 to 204. She was the one who said she wanted to go to 204. That's in the text messages.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who normally get the drugs, you or her?
That were her people.
All right. And would y'all share drugs, or
Yes.
would you keep it separate?
Share it for the most part.
All right. So if you got some cocaine or some weed or some
I didn't get weed.
Percocets,
I didn't get Percocet.
all right. But if you got cocaine, you share.
Yeah.
And if she got it, she'd share.
No.
No.
No. She was selfish.
Okay. So you would share drugs, but she wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right. Did that cause any anger or animosity between you?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not for me.
Really? Okay. So whenever you... Do you remember speaking with the police on October 5th? I believe it was an FBI agent and a detective from Chatham County Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when they took you down to the station and interviewed you?
For a very long period of time.
Right. And do you remember that conversation with him?
There were quite a few.
Let's just start at the beginning then. Do you remember telling them there's nothing weird about her going to Arkwright Drive?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's not anything weird about it.
And when Leilani got back from 204, were you awake or asleep?
I was asleep.
You remember telling them that you were awake when she got back?
No. I don't remember it to be 100%. I really don't.
All right. And you remember telling me you got up at 3 to take care of Sky?
It's possible that I did.
Okay. And do you remember saying that everything was fine at that point in time?
Possibly.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Whenever you would come and go from the house, did you come through the front door, or did you always drive around back and come in through the dining room or living room doors?
Never through the front door.
And that's because the parking's in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it would not be unusual or uncommon that those doors are the ones that get all the movement, are they?
No, not uncommon.
Okay. And whose responsibility was it to lock those doors or secure those doors at night?
Everybody's. Whoever came in last.
Okay. But would it surprise you if those doors opened and closed a lot and weren't locked and stayed open?
Yes.
Okay. Would that be unusual?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember going out, and again, you said you didn't smoke often, but would you go out on the patio to smoke when you did smoke?
The front or the back? It would depend.
Okay. But you would?
Sure.
Okay. Now, do you remember just a few minutes into the interview with the FBI agent and Chatham County police officer, you got a little angry?
Possibly.
Remember saying it feels weird, I'm having a bad day, and...
No.
Okay. Well, it's been a long day, so... Do you remember telling them that you were a little antsy and you need a drink?
Probably.
Okay. Now, do you remember telling them that when you woke up at 3 a.m. that Leilani was asleep?
No. Well, if I did, then that's probably something she told me to say.
Okay. And you remember telling them Quinton was okay at 3 o'clock?
Probably based on what she told me to say.
Mr. ᴜᴘ, are you sitting here saying what you've been told to say?
Right now, no.
Okay. So, you have free will, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, let's talk about that first day as well. Was that the day that you authorized the FBI to tap your phone for 90 days? 30 days at a time, I guess I should say.
What day? The day started on, I think it was the 8th. I think it was 10/8/2022.
October 8th. All right, well, I'll ask that question. Let's just go back. That day, October 5th, did y'all go back to ∞ Road that day?
I believe it was it was like 2 or 3 a.m.
Okay, so it was October 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. And when was it y'all went to the hotel?
The 7th? Maybe? I don't know 100%.
Okay. But you would agree to
Absolutely.
have the video done, the audio done, and then give them your phone done, correct?
The phone happened later, but yes, I did.
Okay. And you say the phone happened later. They didn't dump it that day, October 5th?
What do you mean? Permission? I thought you were talking about the 30 days at a time.
No. I'm talking about just actually giving them your phone.
Yeah, on the 5th, absolutely.
Right, because I remember you asked on the 5th to get your phone back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did.
Right. So,
And I got it back.
all right, so, now, did you notice anything about Quinton's crib the evening of October 4th?
No.
Early morning hours of October 5th?
No.
Anything unusual about it?
No. I wasn't really looking at that point, but no.
Okay. And I wonder if I could approach the witness for 1 second. If you would look through that real quick. I'll say what it is, just look through it. It depends.
Okay. Okay.
Do you recognize any of these messages?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are these messages?
Text messages between me and Leilani.
Okay. And if you would turn to, I guess, the very back one. Let's start in the back and kind of work forward. You see the one from September 30th at 8:04?
Yes.
Okay. This is about 5 days prior to Quinton's disappearance, is it not?
Yeah.
And it's from who to who?
From me to her.
All right. And if you would, what did you say to her that particular day?
Like I'm always supposed to.
And it's from who to who?
From me to her.
All right. And if you would, what did you say to her that particular day?
Like I'm always supposed to deal with your asshole moves and the mean ass kids when you get mad and dip and take shit from me.
What particular shit are you talking about here, Mr. ᴜᴘ?
Money, drugs,
And which mean-ass kids are you referring to here, Mr. ᴜᴘ?
all three.
Well, Sky's an infant, so I'm
Yeah,
fairly
she was
certain.
being mean that day.
How can an infant be mean, Mr. ᴜᴘ?
She wasn't being mean, she was just crying a lot.
Okay. So how would Quinton or Zane be mean? They're children, Mr. ᴜᴘ.
Zane was a handful.
How's that?
Because he was always high energy and high strung and didn't want to go to sleep when we would say that. And I would be the one that would always deal with him.
Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. It looks like this one's just a few minutes later. September 30th at 8:47.
Yeah, I said, I'm such an idiot, I see it.
Now, you said a little bit more than that.
I'm such a ducking idiot, I see it.
And you meant to say something else, but...
Yeah, well, autocorrect.
All right, let's go on to the next one on September 30th at 8:46.
Yes.
That's from you to who?
These aren't in order.
No, they're not, admittedly.
I said, still at 204, WTF taking so long?
What's that referring to?
Why was she still gone?
Well, what would she go to 204 for?
For herself, probably.
So,
Or us, both.
all right. Drugs, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the only, to my knowledge.
And so you were a little irritated because she wasn't back with the drugs, weren't you? Just because.
I was just, no, it wasn't because she wasn't back with drugs, because she wasn't back.
Okay. All right, well, let's go on to the next one, if you would. September 30th at 9.
Yeah, and you fucking wonder why I'm just trying to drink, do drugs, and sleep.
And this was September 30th at 9 p.m.
Yes, sir. Sorry. I apologize. Absolutely.
So, did that pretty much sum up what you were looking to do at that point in time in your life?
Yeah, honestly.
I'm going to ask it's not a flippant question, but at this point in time, you're a grown man, 28 years old.
Sure.
Just leave.
Just leave my daughter? No. No, sir.
All right. So you understand it's an option, though?
Not in my eyes.
So, but you would rather stay, drink, do drugs, and sleep?
I'd rather be there for my daughter.
Well, I understand. Let me ask you this. When you're drinking, doing drugs, and sleeping, how are you there for your daughter?
Not as well as I should have been.
Oh, not at all. Really? Are you?
That's an opinion.
Is that your opinion?
That I could have done better, yes.
Now, that's all the ones for September 30th. Let's look on October 1st. This is 4 days prior. At 12:26 a.m. From,
Are you asking me to read all these?
well, I'm asking you who's this from and who's it to?
What time?
The 12:26.
It's from her to me.
And what does it say?
You almost had your whole bag, and some of both of the bags that I had went and bought.
What bags is she referring to?
Cocaine, which was inaccurate.
So you went through both bags as well.
That's inaccurate.
It may be inaccurate, but that's what the text message says, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it says you went through both bags of cocaine.
According to her.
Right. Well, let's go on to the next one that you sent back to her.
No bag, no love, no niceness.
Right. So basically, your mood was contingent upon the drugs that you had, correct?
That was inclusive with the no love, no niceness.
Let's go to 10/1/2022, 12:27 a.m. That was from who to who?
Her to me.
And what was this referencing?
Then expected, that's not in order. It says, and then expected me to come inside while you talk shit and share when you had a G yesterday.
Right. What's a G?
A gram.
All right. So she's saying that she wasn't going to share because you had an entire gram to yourself.
Which is not true.
Okay. Look at the next text message from October 1st, 1:34, from you to Leilani.
Yeah. Can't come in and lay down at 2 a.m. Just go out and fuck around and don't ask me or tell me shit. Me referring to her leaving in the middle of the night and not saying anything.
Okay. You were upset, needless to say.
Well, yeah. At the time. Then I gave up.
So did it upset you whenever you noticed that she wasn't there in the middle of the night?
Occasionally. Most of the time I just accredited it to do her doing whatever she wanted to do.
Let's look at the next one on 10/1 at 1:34. It looks like from Leilani to you.
You can go out and do what you want tomorrow night. And you said you wish you knew. Well, now you know.
And that's basically saying you can go do what you want tomorrow night, right?
From her, yeah.
Right.
Like I would do that.
Well, whether you did it or not,
I guess that's her giving me permission to leave the next night.
did you leave the next night?
Nope.
Right. And what was your reply back?
You know damn well I can't do shit.
And why is that?
Because I'm the one that takes care of the children.
Okay. And look at the next one from October 1st at 1:40.
Like I said, it's not in order, but yeah.
Is that to Leilani from you?
Yep.
And what does it say?
Bet it'll be 3 a.m. before I see you and no beer.
3 a.m. Drinking beer?
Yeah.
Was that unusual or uncommon?
Depending on the day. If I didn't have to work the next day, probably not.
And this is later.
Do you want me to read this one?
October 1st at 2:19. Yes, sir.
But want me to be all over you when you run off at night like this and lie and don't respond.
And that has to do with withholding sexual attention, correct? I assume that's what it means.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, you tell me. I'm assuming that's what you mean. You want me to be all over you when you run off at night like this. What does that mean?
Anything intimate.
Right. So,
Anything intimate, not just sexual, anything.
so that was withholding affection, correct? That's what you're threatening there.
That's what I'm threatening? I wasn't threatening.
Okay.
That was me saying she wants that, but how am I supposed to do that when she does this?
Okay. Let's look at the next one from October 2nd. You may remember this, you may not remember this.
No, I don't know what this is.
All right. And you see the picture there?
Vaguely.
All right, we'll go to the next one then. See if that helps.
I guess it's a haircut.
Were y'all talking about getting Quinton's haircut?
It wasn't my choice. I think,
Well, that's what Leilani was. That's from her to you, correct?
yeah, I guess she was thinking about getting Quinton's haircut.
And that was on October 2nd, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look at October 2nd, that evening at 8:43.
Yes, sir. It's not my fault. I'm so sorry.
October 2nd at 8:43. That was from you to Leilani, correct?
Yep. Should have gotten Zane to chill or left me something before you tell me to fucking chill.
Left you what?
Some drugs.
Okay. And what was Zane doing that night?
Being high energy.
Wouldn't listen? Basically being a kid.
If that's how you want to put it, yes, sir.
All right. And October 2nd at 8:56, you sent another text message to Leilani?
I want to know why I wish I don't understand the context. I want to know why I wish I did, because I didn't get any when I even begged. I don't know.
Maybe. You don't know that's about.
No, I don't know the context.
All right. Let's look at the next one then and see if that helps put it in context.
It doesn't, but I want to tell me why it looks like you touched my bag from her to me.
Okay. And
Also incorrect.
so that, but put it in context, that may have been about drugs, correct?
Could have been, possibly.
All right. And let's go to October 3rd. This is the evening of October 3rd. I think this is the day before the wisdom tooth, if I'm not mistaken. This is 11:34 p.m. and it's from Leilani to you. And what does she say to you?
This is backwards, so it's kind of hard to get everything in context. And some of it's not even in order.
Well, that's fine. You can put it in order. But what
I
does it say?
don't have time. It says, so I've kind of been waiting for you at the same time, which is why I asked what you were doing. I do not know what that's referring to.
All right, well, that's fine. Let's go to the next one then. It's just an okay, right?
Yep. Just me saying okay.
And what's the next one?
Her saying, oh, I guess she was outside, sitting on the front porch.
All right.
I thought you said you was going to hit that line and come swim the city.
If I hit that line, what does she mean by that?
What she had left on the dresser for me.
For you to do.
Yep.
And by do, I mean cocaine.
Absolutely.
And this was about 11:30 at night, give or take.
11:33:47.
And let's look at the next one from her to you.
11:33:32.
Yeah.
Just put out my blunt and lit a cig.
All right. And the next one, 11. This one's kind of out of order. But
I said, are you coming? As in, are you coming to bed?
Yeah.
At 11:32:19.
And let's go on to October 4th, which we kind of have a little bit about this already. There's one from October 4th at 10:41.
10:41:37. She said, I'm about to turn on 204.
And the next one,
I said at 10:44:24. Thank you for the little bit left. So sweet, no lie.
and what little bit left were you referring to?
Whatever she left me on the dresser.
Drugs.
Yep.
All right. So at least at that point in time, on the night of October 4th, you were at home with the children under the influence while she's out getting more drugs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did you ever tell them this?
Yes.
When?
The interview?
Okay.
The initial interview?
All right. Well, let's go
It was a
ahead.
very long period of time, so I'm pretty sure I told him everything I knew.
All right. That being
Or
said,
could remember.
you were doing cocaine at least at 11 o'clock at night on October 4th. And
10:45.
10:45.
And I
10:45.
probably did that and then fell asleep,
Because cocaine makes you sleepy.
as we stated.
Okay. And you were drinking as well.
Probably the last year I had left.
Okay. But when you went to sleep, Quinton was fine, Zane was fine, and Scott was fine, correct?
Yes, sir. At around 10:45, 11 o'clock.
So, do you know what time Leilani got back that night?
Nope.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police that you were awake when she got in?
Probably initially.
Okay. But you changed your story, didn't you?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if
I stated based on memory and what I was recalling at the time.
well, if you say A is true and it turns out that B is true, they both can't be true, can they?
Depending.
Well, either you saw her and you were awake, or you were asleep when she got in.
Yeah, very true.
Right. Now, you got up at 3 a.m. to feed Sky, like you always did, you said.
Probably initially, that's probably what I said.
And you told them Quinton was fine, Zane was fine, and Sky was fine, correct?
Initially, I believe so.
Okay. And you also said you, of your own accord, called the babysitter and said the kids were staying home.
I texted her at 5:20 and
Sorry.
said the kids will be with her.
Excuse me, texted and said the kids were going to stay home with Leilani, right?
Yes.
Did you discuss this with Leilani?
She wouldn't wake up. But that was something that I had done in the past, because if she wasn't going to get up and go to work and I was going to go to work, then why am I paying for the babysitter?
So for you, you were a little bit angry she wouldn't wake up and go to work, right?
No, not really. I was just going to get my job done.
Mr. Young, can I have a few?
I may sound irritated at the moment, but no.
All Right. Now let's talk about Azalea Mobile Home Park.
Okay.
Buckhalter Road, you have 3 different trash cans out there, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're the one that collects those trash cans and takes them to the Azalea Mobile Home Park to dump. That was your testimony to Mr. Dean?
Yeah, for the most part I was, until
Okay.
Paul got there, and Paul was the one that had the keys to the truck, so Paul liked to take the trash out.
I'm curious, do they have trash collection out there?
We didn't, at that residence, I don't know, that wasn't my house.
Well, it just seems a very odd thing that,
That's what I was told to do.
okay, well, who told you to do that?
I don't remember exactly, but that's just one of the things that happened. I don't understand.
So Paul, either you or Paul were the ones that took the trash off there.
Yes.
Okay.
In the Silverado,
Right.
never in the Dodge Journey.
You're absolutely correct. In the Silverado. But you don't know whether or not there was garbage collection on Buckhalter Road or when they collected garbage?
I don't believe they paid for that service. I think it's something you have to pay for. I'm not 100% sure.
Do you know if the service is offered?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, have you ever seen garbage trucks up and down the road?
It
So
wasn't
it's
my
okay if you
house.
don't. Yeah, it's okay if you don't. But I mean,
No, it wasn't my house.
okay. You didn't pay attention to it, is what you're saying.
No, I just did what I was instructed.
Oh. Now, but you did agree to have the hotel room wired for 3 days, correct?
Yeah. And my cell phone.
When did you leave Savannah after this?
I believe it was the day that I signed the paper for my cell phone to be tapped.
You left Savannah that day?
I believe so.
And that's when you moved away from Savannah?
I went and stayed in Atlanta for a weekend, and then I moved back with my parents.
So whatever day is on that particular item, that was the day you left Savannah.
I believe so. If not, it was the next day.
Did you have custody of Sky?
No, I wasn't even legitimized,
Do you
and I was threatened multiple times that my daughter would be taken away from me by Leilani.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have custody of Sky now?
No, I don't.
Who does?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's
What is the
wrong?
relevance?
What's wrong? That's all the question I got.
In just a moment, Mr. Dean may have some further questions for you.
Sorry.
I do have some redirect, Your Honor, but I do agree.
Okay.
So I suspect I'll redirect.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a good time to take a break. Let's take a 15-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Youngkin. Okay, Mr. Youngkin, please take your seat once again in the witness stand. All right, Mr. Youngkin, you understand that you remain under oath?
Yes, sir.
Let's break out the doors.
I stepped on the cord.
Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. And jurors, were you able to continue to comply with the court's instructions?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very well, thank you. Mr. Dean.
Danny, I think you were asked some questions on cross-examination about where you all kept cocaine.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me again where you kept it?
There was a dresser across from the bed that was like 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall.
Was there also a dresser next to the bed?
Yes, sir.
Which one was taller?
The one across from the bed.
And you're saying that's the one that you all kept the cocaine in?
Yes, sir.
Why that dresser and not the other one?
Because it was taller and less. It was. They couldn't reach it. The kids couldn't reach it.
I'd like to show you a picture and ask if you can just explain to us which piece of furniture you're talking about, okay?
Yes, sir.
right, this is image 44 from State's Exhibit 10. Are we seeing in this picture the piece of furniture that you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Where in this piece of furniture or on this piece of furniture would you guys keep cocaine?
There's a shelf in there that's at the top, near the top, and then on top of it,
And how do you open that piece of furniture?
with that door handle right there. Well, with that knob.
So you have to pull that knob to open it?
Yes, sir. And there's a shelf near that hinge, sort of at the bottom of it.
Like right here,
Like towards the bottom of it, yeah.
towards the bottom of the top hinge?
Yeah, there should be a shelf in there.
Okay. Did you ever see Quinton open that piece of furniture?
No, never.
If he had, was he able to open it to your knowledge?
No, not to my knowledge. I believe it was taller than he could reach.
And had he been able to open the door, would he have been able to reach to the top shelf?
No.
And are you saying that that's specifically why you kept it up there to keep it away from kids?
Yes, sir.
Was Quinton able to get out of his pack and play?
No, sir.
How much were y'all paying for cocaine at this time?
Quite a little bit, actually.
What do you mean by that?
20 to 40 a bag.
And how much is the bag? Like how much are we talking about in the bag?
0.3, 0.5, something like that.
0.3 or 0.5?
Of a gram.
Okay, so less than a gram.
Yes.
And how much money is that, you said?
$40 would get you probably like a 0.5, maybe.
So did you consider cocaine to be expensive?
Yeah.
Were y'all in the habit of just leaving it lay around?
No.
Once you bought cocaine, would you be careful to take care of it and safeguard it?
Yeah. As much as possible.
Now, I want to ask you some questions about Defense Exhibit 1 that was shown to you that I don't think was introduced into evidence. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Was Defense Exhibit 1 introduced into evidence formally?
Yes,
It was.
that's one.
That's the defense exhibit.
Oh, no, it was not.
I've marked it, the copy that I was given at State's Exhibit 87. Danny, you've identified these as text messages that you sent to the defendant over a period of time.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would introduce this in State's 87.
No objection. I was going to wait till the detective just off market if that's one, if that's okay. It states 87. I'm good with that, Judge.
Okay, that's fine.
May I approach, Your Honor? Now, given that copy to the witness, I'm going to grab a copy of the clerk's table so that I can follow along myself with that. Danny, what's the date and time of the message that you're looking at on the page that I turned to?
October 1st, 2022, 1:34:29 a.m.
All right. And what did you say in this message?
I said, can't come in and lay down at 2 a.m. Just go out and fuck around and don't tell me or don't ask me or tell me shit.
What did you mean by don't ask me or tell me shit?
Just, I was unaware of her whereabouts or that she left or what she was doing.
What did you mean by fuck around? Just can't come in?
Do whatever she wanted to do.
Did you know what she was doing?
No, I didn't ever ask.
And that was at 1:34 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
Can you flip to the page in front of that? What's the time of this message?
Is this the one from her? Is that what you were saying? Or is it, wait, at 1:34 or 12:27?
Just go up there. How about that?
Yeah, sorry. This is the one we were at, so are you talking about this one? Yeah, that one, okay.
Now, I've flipped forward a couple pages. What is the date and time of this message?
10/1/2022, 1:40:37 a.m.
That's like 5 minutes after the last one that we read.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, go back to it, please. All right. And what did you say here?
Bet it'll be 3 a.m. before I see you and no beer.
All right. Do you remember where, if anywhere, she had told you that she was going at this time?
No.
Did you know what she was doing?
No.
Did you have any suspicion as to what she was doing?
Yeah.
And what was that?
204. For however long she felt like staying there for.
All right. Can you turn to the next page? Yeah, the one in front of it. Okay. And this is what date and time?
10/1/2022, 2:19:08 a.m.
All right. So same morning, but like
40 minutes.
40 minutes later or something like that.
40 or 50, yeah.
40 or
Well, it's 1:35, so 2:20, so 25, 20, 45 minutes.
Okay. Was she still gone at the time of this message?
Yes, sir.
And what did you say to her?
But want me to be all over you when you run off at night like this and lie and don't respond?
And you thought she was at 204?
Yes.
Right. And that's where y'all would get drugs from?
Yes, sir.
I can take that back. How far was let me ask you this. When we say 204 and Arkwright Lane, are we talking about the same place?
Yes, sir.
The drug dealer's residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long, if all you wanted to do was drive from 535 Buckhalter, or all someone wanted to do, you, the defendant, whoever, if all you wanted to do was drive from 535 Buckhalter to 204, aka Arkwright Lane, and buy drugs and then come home, how long would that take?
A maximum of like 40 minutes.
Okay. Were there times, perhaps including the time period encompassed in these messages that we've just gone through, where the defendant would go to 204 / aka Arkwright Lane for longer than it would take to just buy drugs?
Yes, sir.
And is that kind of what you were complaining about in those messages?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Hilliard asked you about those messages or some messages like them. Were you upset that she wasn't home with the drugs yet? Do you remember him asking you that?
Yes.
And you responded, no, I was just annoyed that she wasn't home yet, that she was still out.
Yes, sir.
Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
One moment, please, Your Honor. All right, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 86, Your Honor.
Has 86 been entered into evidence? Has it been admitted into evidence?
No, Your Honor, that has not been offered yet.
All right, thank you.
I've handed the witness what I've marked as State's Exhibit 86. Sir, if you could look through that, take as long as you need, and then let me know when you're ready to talk about that document, okay?
Okay.
Do you recognize that, Danny?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it is?
Text messages between me and Leilani.
And what is the start date of those messages?
10 o'clock, 10:04 p.m. on the 4th of October, 2022.
Okay. What's the end date and time?
11. My last text message was 11:01 p.m. Her last text message was 11:10 p.m. on the 4th of October, 2022.
Fair to say that these are your text messages from that night.
Yes, sir.
Does this fairly and accurately depict your text message communications that night?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer this as State's 87.
Okay.
I can admit it.
And that, 86,
86.
pardon.
86.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to start towards the bottom of page 4. And let me ask you this, can you see the screen from where you're at? You turn to the side, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
And can you read off of that screen all right? I don't know if it's one of those screens where if you're at an angle.
No, I can see it.
Okay. So from here on out, can we just work off the screen together, please?
Yeah,
I think that'd be easier.
absolutely.
This green message here, can you tell us the time of this?
6:06 p.m. 10/4/2022.
Okay, so this is the evening of October 4th.
Yes, sir.
But this would be some hours before she left on this 204 trip, correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And the next message here, what does this one say?
I'm gonna run to 204, I guess, at 10:32:20 on the 4th of October, 2022.
Okay. So Is it fair to say then that this message right here is basically like your first nighttime text message
Yes, sir.
between you and her? I know it's not your text message.
Yes, sir.
Scrolling down, what time did you respond to that?
10:32:41, so 20 seconds later.
Okay. And what did you say?
Okay.
Now-
Space, ...
Can I take from those two messages, well, the fact that she texts you, gonna run to 204, I guess, can I take away from that she was already gone from the house at the time she sent that message to you?
Yeah, it was either that or she was sitting on the front porch.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
And your response, oh, okay, why did you respond that way?
Because I was already laying down and ready to go to bed for the next morning to go to work at 6.
Were you surprised that she was
Yes.
all of a sudden going to 204 at this time of night?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Considering that we had work and that she had just gotten her tooth pulled earlier that day,
And
I just said, be safe, I guess.
that was how long after, oh, okay.
2 minutes and 8 seconds on the 4th of October, 2022.
Now, what time was the next message? And you can drop the seconds.
The next minute after, and she said, I will be, so she was responding, I'll be safe and I'll be quick, I promise.
And what did you say to that?
I hope so.
And that was like the same minute.
21 seconds left. Yes, sir.
And what did you say next?
3 minutes later, Paul showed up and is going to bed.
And can I presume that the defendant was still gone at this point?
Yes, sir.
What did she say to that?
Wow. Okay.
And then what did you say?
He said something about telling you he was on the way and then you leaving and him getting threatened to get ran over.
Can you just kind of explain to us what, it sounds like that's a reference to some,
Yeah, I think he had like an incident on the road on the way back to the house or something.
and then what's her next message to you?
At 10:41, she said, I'm about to turn onto 204. And I said, okay, at the same minute.
And what's the next message?
She said, no, he said, in a little bit.
What is that a reference to?
I believe it's in reference to Paul. I'm honestly not 100% sure.
And then your next message, maybe that'll clarify.
That's what I said. Oh yeah, I remember it. Sorry.
Can you first read the message and tell us what this particular part of the exchange means?
That's what I said, you said, he said. But he said something about I'm on the way or something.
Was there, let me just ask you this, does this exchange refer to some sort of like miscommunication between the defendant and Paul about when exactly Paul was going to get home?
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering from it. Yes, sir.
And then at 10:44 at the top of page 7 of this document, what did you say?
Thank you for the little bit left. So sweet, no lie.
And what were you referring to here?
She left a little bit of Coke on the top of the dresser for me.
Was it in a bag or not a bag or what?
I think it was a little line left out.
How much was it?
0.05 gram.
Was it the last, I'm going off of the text of the message here, was it the last of what you had in the house at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you use it?
Yes.
I think, well, let me ask you this. Earlier, I think Mr. Hilliard may have asked you, were you drugging and drinking at that time? And I think you said no. Was that an intentional misrepresentation?
No, it was not.
Do you remember coming up to Savannah maybe a month or so ago and sitting down to talk to me in preparation for this trial?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember our going through all these messages together?
Yeah, I do now.
And do you remember my specifically asking you what that text message meant?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember freely admitting to me at that time?
Yes, I do.
Reference to a little bit of cocaine.
Yes, I do.
What's your next message here?
I just noticed it. Paul asked if soda was free to drink because of kids only on Hawaiian Punch. Sounds like I'm sleepily texting.
Why do you say that?
Because I barely understand what I'm saying.
Now, was this the point in the night where Paul was getting something to eat or drink in the kitchen?
Yes, sir.
And how did she respond to that?
Yeah, just tell him not to be excessive with it.
And what did you say?
Gotcha.
Now, this next message, what time are we at here?
10:45.
And read to us what you say to her.
I love you. Please come back so we can crash together.
Number of R's on the end together there.
4.
What are you wanting to do at this point?
Go to sleep.
Do you know where you were in the house when you sent this message?
Laying in the bed.
What if anything was holding you back from going to sleep at this point?
Her being back.
Now, scrolling down to the top of page 8,
6 minutes later.
what did you say to her?
Or not.
Has she responded to your last message about come back so we can crash together?
No.
So you say or not, and what did she say?
I love you.
And what did she say next?
And I'm about to be walking to the car.
And what time was that message sent?
10:51.
And your response?
1 minute later, I said, oh, okay.
And your next message?
I guess I'm gonna eat this food and stay up for a few. So I guess I was sleepy.
Do you know what food you were referring to?
I believe it was spaghetti.
What were you doing at this point in time?
Laying down in the bed and trying to wait on her.
As far as you were concerned, was the day pretty much over at this point?
Yes, sir.
And what was your next message and when?
10:56. I said, I don't want to be tired or you be tired either. Hey,
And that was how long after the last message where you said, I guess I'm going to try to stay up for a few minutes?
4 minutes.
You're still wanting to go to bed at this point?
Absolutely.
Just wanting her to come home so you can do that?
Yes, sir.
How did she respond to that?
I know, maybe.
And what did you say?
I know you don't feel great. I don't know how you're still up. And I wanted to watch a movie. Sad moment.
And what time did you send that message?
1 minute later, exactly.
How are you feeling at this point?
Sad and tired.
Did she respond to that message?
No.
What's the next message?
4 minutes later, I said, moi.
What does that mean? I don't mean to embarrass you, I just don't know.
A kiss.
All right, it's a text message representation of the kissing noise.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you send that message?
4 minutes later.
What time of night?
11:01.
All right, 11:01 p.m. on 4.
Yes, sir.
Did she respond to that message immediately?
No, it was 9 minutes later.
And what did she say?
The same thing.
Is that the last text message you sent to anybody that night?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. And at the time that you sent this message at 11:01 and didn't get a response, what were you doing?
I believe I went to sleep.
Okay. So, if there has been maybe some lack of clarity at times as to whether you were
Awake or asleep.
asleep or going to sleep when she gets home for 2:04, could that be because you're sort of in the process of going to bed at that point?
Yes, sir. Based on my text messages and spelling, I can see that as well. And my lack of remembering correctly.
You mentioned that this was not a one-time thing where she would kind of go out and be gone and you don't know exactly what she's doing.
Yes, sir.
Is this sort of normal type of text messages for you to send to her during that time frame?
Yes, sir.
Does anything in these text messages suggest that anything abnormal had happened in the house at this point?
No.
Now, going back to the morning of October 4th, before these messages, so let's go back to the dentist, okay?
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, actually, let's go to work before the dentist, all right?
Yes, sir.
The two of you, did you drive to work together in the journey?
Yes, sir.
And I think you've talked about how you clocked out early to go to the dentist.
Yeah, to take her.
Did the two of you drive together in the journey to the dentist?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember who was driving?
Me.
And then, while she was at the dentist, you testified that you went to the liquor store.
Yes, sir.
And did you then come back to the dentist?
Yes, sir.
All right, when you went to the liquor store from the dentist, did you walk or did you drive in the journey?
I drove in the journey.
And when you came back to the dentist, did you therefore drive back in the journey?
Yes, sir.
And then, I think you said from the dentist's office, you guys went to Cheddar's.
Yeah, yes, sir. I believe it was in the same area.
Did you drive to Cheddar's in the journey?
Yes, sir.
And then you testified that from Cheddar's you went home, right?
From my memory, yeah.
Okay. In any case, there was more driving in the journey that day.
Yes, sir.
And then at some point you're home.
Yes.
Okay. At any point that day driving that car around, did you smell anything in the car?
No.
Smell any old food?
No.
Smell anything that caused you to go looking around the car and see what that smell is?
No, sir.
One moment, please. So I'm showing you image 33 of State's Exhibit 10. This has been identified by other witnesses as apparent vomit on Quinton's pillowcase. That's photographed by the police on October 5th. Have you now gotten a look at that?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember ever seeing that?
No, sir.
If the call to the police was morning of Wednesday, October 5th, right?
Yes, sir.
If that had been there Monday night, an all-day Tuesday, do you think you would have seen it at some point or been aware of it?
Yes, sir.
So do you think we can conclude from that then that it
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. Can't conclude anything. Testify what he saw or heard.
Mr. Dean?
first, may I ask that we not have speaking objections? And second, I would withdraw the question.
Yes.
Do you have any recollection of an incident involving an accidental explosion of a package of rice cereal in the back of the Dodge Journey?
No.
And that's the car you drove pretty much every day?
Yes, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Clear.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Youngkin, it's your testimony that you slept in that room the entire evening of October 4th until the early morning hours of October 5th, correct?
Yes, sir.
The same room that Quinton, Zane, and Sky were in, correct?
It's 2 rooms together, but
Are there any walls that divide it?
no.
Wide open, correct?
Yes.
You testified that you saw the kids okay, and you told them you saw the kids okay when you left at 5:30 that morning, correct?
I was mistaken.
Well, you're mistaken now, but you weren't then. The first time you spoke was on October 5th, wasn't it, Mr. Youngkin?
Objection, Your Honor.
I was mistaken then.
Mr. Youngkin, just a moment. Your objection.
2 objections. 1, asked and answered previously. 2, beyond the scope of recross-examination.
I'm going to allow Mr. Hilliard to ask those questions.
I'll be one, Judge. It's not that big of a deal. Mr. Youngkin, you testified on redirect a minute ago that you were a responsible cocaine addict, and you only put the cocaine on top of the trespass.
I didn't say I was responsible.
Okay. Well, you put it in a place that only the kids couldn't get it. Well, let me ask you this. You also testified a few minutes later, didn't you, that you couldn't read your own text messages because you weren't making sense. You were either tired or intoxicated, correct? Yes or no?
I was tired.
Well, that's your explanation, but you're also intoxicated. You admitted to doing cocaine and alcohol that evening, correct?
That's a matter of opinion.
Now, you were asked whether or not you saw this pillow, right? Mr. Dean just asked you about that.
He asked me if I had seen it prior to the 5th. Yes.
Right. Let me ask you this. At any point in time on October 5th, did you ever speak to anyone about an overwhelming smell of vomit emanating from the crib?
No.
Did you smell vomit?
No.
Were you sleeping in that room all night?
Yes.
And you woke up, correct? Got ready for work and left that morning, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever mention that you smelled vomit?
No, I was asleep.
All the questions.
All right, Mr. Dean, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Youngkin, you are excused, sir. Is there any reason to retain this witness? Let me ask that. Under subpoena.
Yeah, one vote on that question, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. No.
Thank you. Mr. Youngkin, you're excused, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gray.
And do you live in the Savannah area?
Yes,
Where do you live? Not the street address, but the general area.
off of Highway 17, Ogeechee Road, in Azalea.
I'm going to ask you, I can hear you, but I'm not sure that everybody can. So could you just, closer to the microphone, be good.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you. Can you repeat your answer to that last question? What general area do you live in?
Highway 17.
And you mentioned Ogeechee Road,
Yes, Ogeechee Road,
and then I think you said Azalea as well.
Azalea Trailer Park.
Now, how long have you lived there for?
I've lived there for about 4, maybe going on 5 years.
And in those 4, maybe going on 5 years, have you lived in the same residence at Azalea the whole time?
Yes,
Do you, or at some point did you know the defendant, Miss Simon?
I met her at my job,
And what job was that?
at the job that I used to have, which was Bojangles.
Was she working there as well?
Yes,
And is that how you met her?
yes.
Roughly, how long did y'all work together at the same Bojangles?
Probably around 3 or 4 months, if that.
And do you have any nicknames that you go by?
Yep,
What nickname or nicknames do you have?
Missy.
Missy?
Missy,
M-I-S-S-Y?
exactly.
Anybody ever call you Misty with a T?
No.
Do you remember a time where an FBI agent came out to your house at Azalea to talk to you about when was the last time you had contact with the defendant?
Yes,
Do you remember that FBI agent's name?
yes.
What was his or her name?
Brad Snyder,
Okay. And where did y'all meet and talk?
he came to my house,
Okay. Where at your house did y'all interact?
in my parking lot, in the driveway.
Okay. I want you to go back, kind of take yourself back mentally to the day of that conversation, the first conversation you had with Brad, okay? At that time, how long had it been, roughly, since you had seen the defendant, Ms. Simon?
How long had it been since I talked to him the first time in my driveway or at my job, Bojangles at the time?
I mean, where was the first time that you talked?
The first time I met
Brad?
him, and I think Miss Lemons was at my job,
Okay.
Bojangles.
The first time that you talked to them, and thank you for clarifying. The first time that you talked to them, did they ask you how long it had been or when the last time had been that you saw the defendant?
I think so.
And at that time, about how long had it been since you had last seen her?
I'm guessing roughly around maybe a month or so. Roughly.
It had maybe been roughly a month.
Roughly, yeah.
Do you remember telling them it had been like July of 2022 that you last saw her?
Yes,
Okay. And were you telling them the truth at that time? Is that accurate?
yes,
Okay. And that was closer in time than we are now, right?
right.
Okay. What were the circumstances of your last contact with the defendant? First of all, was the time that you were telling them about then, is that the last time you ever had contact with her? I mean, in other words, have you had any contact with her since the police began talking to you?
No.
Okay. So then that was the last time you had any contact with her?
Yes.
All right. Now, what were the circumstances of that last contact with the defendant? Why did you all have contact with each other?
Because she came to my house around 12 midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, asking if we had any money, me and my husband, for gas, because her vehicle stalled on that back road behind me. I can't remember the name of the road right now. and we didn't have any money, but I was going to go to my stepfather's and, not my stepfather's, my father-in-law, and ask for one of his gas cans to see if he had gas in it, and if he didn't, if we could take it up to the Inmark to put gas in it.
And right now you're describing something that occurred in like July of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened with the gas can?
We got the gas can from our property manager's yard because we had called her to ask her instead. And she said, yes, there should be one right there in the yard, went and got it. And me, Leilani, and my husband walked up to Inmark to go get the gas.
And what happened to the gas can from that point?
Of course, when we got there, she said that someone was coming to get her, to take her back, to put gas in her vehicle that was on that road. So me and my husband, we left, okay? And I told her that I needed the gas can back.
Sometime after that, did you send her some text messages asking for the gas can back?
Yes, I did.
Did you get a response to those text messages?
I did not get a response at all until actually no, I did not get a response at all.
Okay, so let me just ask you about that. Was that, those text messages to the defendant asking to get the gas can back, did you ever have any in-person contact with her after that?
No.
Okay, and again, this all happened in like July of 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would like to approach with what I've marked as, well, let me ask you this. Did you show those text messages to Brad, the FBI agent?
Yes, I did.
Okay, he got a look at them?
Yes, he did.
And did they support what you were saying?
Yes, they did.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 35. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is that a Google Maps screenshot showing the route to get to your residence at ᴜ Plaza?
Yes, it does.
Does it fairly represent the route that you have to take to get to your place?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 35.
No objection.
Thank you, Mr. Parse. It is admitted without objection.
All right. Do you see that main road at the top there that I'm highlighting with the little arrow? Is that ᴜ Road?
They're right. You can say yes or no. The
Yes.
reporter's taking everything down.
Yes.
And that red arrow coming off of ᴜ Road, does that reflect the turn that you make to get into ᴜ?
Yes.
Okay. And is that right next to the chevron?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, the second arrow here, does this represent a right turn that you have to make to get to your house?
Yes, it does.
Do you live on a dead end?
Yes, I do.
Is that lower red arrow showing that right turn there, does that take you onto your dead end?
The lower red arrow? Yes.
This arrow here? All right. So that's a right turn that takes you onto the dead end street that you live on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other way to get to your house by car?
No.
One moment, please, Your Honor. Was there ever a time where she came and met up with you in the middle of the night to get border gel from you?
No.
No? Saying that never happened?
I'm saying it never happened.
No further questions?
Good morning, Ms. Bright.
Good morning.
I want to walk up and look at that map, if you would. As I understand it, this is ᴜ Road.
Right.
This is I guess that's a left turn. And the second arrow goes down there. Where is your residence in this area?
I am, let's see.
Do you mind showing me up there so everybody can see?
Sure. I should be probably somewhere either this or up underneath these trees.
Okay, thank you. And is that a Chevron station that you mentioned?
Yes.
That, for the record, is that? Looks like a big square to me.
Yes.
And you live in the ᴜ Mobile Home Park.
Yes, sir.
And you talked about knowing Leilani Simon. Do you know Daniel Youngkin?
No, I do not.
Have you ever hung out with Leilani Simon socially?
No, I have not.
Now, it's now October 2024, and the events that are important to hear are October 2022. How clearly do you remember what happened back in October 2022 in your life?
Clearly, as in, what do you mean?
Well, who you saw, where you went, dates and times, and things like that.
I am not that good with dates and times,
I'm not either.
but events, certain events, just like anybody else, certain events stand out. Considering the fact that I had to send her text message after text message because the gas can was that of my property managers, and I didn't want to get in trouble. That is going to be something that I remember.
I think those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you may step down, and you are excused. Okay. Mr. Dean, is your other witness ready?
No, Your Honor, this is going to be a longer witness. I would ask that we take a break now. Of course, okay with that.
Okay, as we discussed. This is going to be at the time that we take the lunch break, ladies and gentlemen.
Give an interest in your report and jury the trial petitions for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, step this way.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing pretty well. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Paul Simon.
And you are the defendant's brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you mind if I call you Paul?
Yes, sir. Go
If
ahead.
you prefer, Mr. Simon, let me know.
No, call Paul.
Okay. How old are you, Paul?
23.
And what is your city and state of residence? Where do you live now?
I live in Eden, Georgia.
Do you work?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I do construction and I'm a manager at AutoZone.
Did you grow up in the area?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you go to high school?
New Hampstead.
I want to draw your attention to the fall of 2022. Do you remember the general time period I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where were you living in the fall of 2022?
535 Buckle Road.
And whose house is that?
My mother's.
Okay. And where were you staying in that house during that time period?
Upstairs and towards the back side of the house.
When did you start living there?
3 to 4 months prior.
Prior to what?
Prior to the incident.
Okay. Now, where did you live before that?
With my aunt,
Okay. What's her name?
Jackie.
Okay. So you lived with your Aunt Jackie and you moved back in with Mom at some point?
Yes, sir.
Were you working in that time period?
Yes, sir. I was working at a warehouse. I can't remember. It was Eclipse, I believe.
Okay. Was it the same place that your sister and Danny worked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about a normal day there. What did you do?
We loaded packages up onto trailers and moved them around the warehouse into different trailers all day. Just stacking them and wrapping them and sending them off.
Now, when you moved into your mom's house a couple months before what you described as the incident, were your sister and Danny and the 3 kids already living there?
Yes, sir.
Had Sky already been born at that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what was it like living there with everybody in the house?
Well, pretty much every day, from what I heard and saw, it was just arguing every day. I mean, not between the kids or nothing like that, but it was between Leilani and Danny.
Okay. What about your mom?
Whenever my mom was there, they did argue quite a good bit.
And who's that?
Leilani and my mom.
Okay. Let's go to the morning of. Well, let me ask you this. Tell me about the kids, the 3 kids, Zane, Quinton, and Sky.
Zane, hyper, want to be in everybody's business. But I mean, that's average for his age, you know what I mean? And then Quinton, he was an angel. Like, you could change his diaper, he'd lift his butt right up for you. No problem at all with it. You put the diaper, you tell him to lower his butt. Put the diaper, you tell him to lower his butt. He'd lower it, let you clean them all up. No problem at all. Zane, that boy had crap all up his head one time. He made me clean it in the back of the car. Man, that was a whole, I don't know how I managed that one.
Can I ask you this? Did you participate in the child care at all during your time living in the house?
Kinda. It was on and off. It was whenever they needed me.
Yeah. Tell us about your interactions with kids.
So a few times I had to take them to doctor's appointments, which wasn't a problem because, people was at work, and I had to have a day off or whatever, So I'd take them to the doctor's appointment because I didn't have to be at work till 2. And then I'd drop them off at the babysitter. And then whenever the line would need me to watch them, I'd watch them upstairs. I'd bring some toys upstairs in my room and let them play with it. Tell them, hey, that's your area. Don't mess with none of my stuff.
Tell me about watching them upstairs in your room.
They just sit there, play with the toys, want a whole lot of snacks. And of course, I wouldn't give them snacks right away. You ain't about to be all hyped up on me.
Does this include Sky, or are you talking mainly about Zane and Quinton?
Zane and Quinton, I didn't actually watch Sky. She was still, relatively young, like 3 or 4 months old, somewhere around there. So I didn't actually watch Sky, but I watched Zane and Quinton quite a bit whenever they needed me to.
Did you ever help them, and maybe not because of the shift you work, but did you ever help them getting them dressed in the morning, getting fed, getting them bathed and put down at night or anything like that?
I bathed them once or twice when I was there. And as far as feeding, I would help with that, but it was more so when I was there. I was working from 2 to 10, so they usually eat between 6 and 9 at night, give or take those time periods.
And you started saying some nice things about Quinton earlier, and I did not follow up, and I guess I'll do that now. What was your relationship like with Quinton?
Well, he loved me. I mean, he'd come up to me, he'd put his arms over my knees, and I'd just sit there and bounce him for a good hour or 2 till my legs got tired. He weighed a good 20, 30 pounds. But I mean, I loved him. I mean, I tell him to shut up. But I mean, that was about as mean as it got towards him with me, you know what I mean? Kids don't want to stop talking.
What did your, during the time period that you're working at Eclipse and working the 2 p.m. shift that you've mentioned, what did a normal day look like for you? Not talking about any particular day, just kind of give us an example.
I get up in the morning between 9 and 10 o'clock-ish, usually, and then watch some TV, get up, take my dog out, let him use the bathroom, bring him back in the room, continue watching some TV, and then get ready and go to work. I mean, it was just, either TV or playing a video game.
What about after work?
After work, I'd get off. Just like I said at the police station, I'd get off, roll me a blunt, and go on about my day.
Tell me about the blunt rolling and going on about your day.
I'd sit there in the parking lot because I wasn't going to try to drive and roll at the same time, you know what I mean? So I'd sit there in the parking lot, roll. Then as I was driving down the road, I would light it up and smoke on the way home because my mom had a strict rule of no smoking in the car, so you'd have to roll down the windows if they were smoking in the car.
What car were you driving around the time of the incident?
The 2012 Silverado.
Okay. What color is that?
White.
Okay. Is that the truck that was parked next to the Dodge Journey when the police arrived?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what you would do when you get home.
I'd get home, I'd go upstairs, let the dog out, then probably smoke again, and then go to bed. Watch a little bit of TV if I had enough time, and then go to bed.
Tell us about the dog. When did you get the dog?
I got the dog when I was still working at FedEx in 2019. He passed away January 1st this year from a advanced heart-worm disease.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But he was my pride and joy. I loved that little fool.
You said what now?
He was a little fool. He was a little retard. That's what he was.
Pardon me. What was the dog's name?
Rimshot.
Rimshot? Are you a drummer?
I'm not, but that's a name from Ernest. you ever seen any of the Ernest movies?
Like Ernest Saves Christmas?
Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Saves Halloween.
And there's a character named Rimshot in this movie?
It's his dog.
And that's, okay, so that's your dog's namesake. Okay. I know you told me before the dog was named Rimshot, I don't know why. Okay. Where did the dog stay when you were at work?
He would stay, Leilani would watch him whenever she was home, or he would go outside and stay on lead.
Okay. Out on the lead, can you tell me what you're talking about?
Long 25, 30 foot leash.
And what was that attached to?
A ground hook.
Okay. And where would he stay when you were home?
He would stay upstairs with me.
Is that where he slept? Okay. Let's talk about the, so we talked about kind of your general typical day, right? Let's talk about the day before the police came to your house, okay? We'll talk about that day, October 4th, 20.
Did you sign your house for a 9? Did you respond yes or no?
Yes, sir.
The court reporter's trying to take it all down.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
All right. The day before the police came to your house, did you work that day?
I did.
As far as you remember it, was it pretty much a normal day for you?
Yes, sir.
And is it not until the next morning that it became abnormal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about going to work. What time were you scheduled to work that day?
I was scheduled to go in at 2 p.m. I had went in early that day. I don't remember exactly what time I went in.
And do you remember why it was that you went in early?
Because Leilani wasn't able to go in that day. And so Danny had texted her and asked if I could come in early, is what I believe was what happened.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 88. Can you take a look at this? Just read it carefully, take a look at the phone numbers, and I'll ask you about it, okay?
That's my old number, and that was Danny's number.
The document that I just handed you, is that the text message exchange between Danny Young and you?
Yes, sir.
From October 4th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the text messages that you exchanged? Your Honor, I would offer this as State's Exhibit 88. No objection. Now, the first message on there is from who to whom?
The first message is from Danny to me,
And what was the time of that message?
10 in the morning, 10:15.
And what did Danny say to you?
He said, yo, Dave wanted to know if you go in at 12. I'm at the dentist with Leilani. She just got her tooth pulled.
Young Dave wanted to know if he would go in at 12? Is that Dave Mullins?
Yes, sir. It was the GM that was running Eclipse.
Okay. Was he your boss, or at least one of your bosses?
He was one of them. He was the morning shift boss.
Okay. And did you respond to that message from Danny?
Yes, sir. I said I'd be in.
And what time did you send that message?
20 minutes after I received it.
Okay. So from there, did you go into work?
Yes, sir. I got there probably about 11:30.
And was it a normal day at work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, tell us about finishing up work and getting ready to come home.
So I got out of work. I went and sat in the car, and that night I got stopped by a train. So I ended up getting home at 10:50 instead of my normal time, which was 10:30.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And that night before I left work, Leilani had texted me and asked me if I had any relatives, which was blunt wraps, and I had responded to her and said yes, I'd be home in about an hour. And when I got home at 10:50, I went in there to give her a pack of Rellos, and she wasn't there.
Okay. So you said that she texted you before you.
It was either a text or a phone call.
Okay. And asked you if you.
We bring her a pack of Rellos, which was blunt wraps.
What is that word you're saying? I'm sorry.
Rellos.
Rellos?
Cigarillos.
Oh, okay. Cigarillos.
Yeah.
Is that what GAR means? Okay. Cigar. Rellos?
Yeah, cigar. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 89. Can you take a look at this document and let me know when you're ready to talk about it? Take a careful look at the numbers and the messages and so forth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Flip to the second page here, if you would.
My bad.
All right, do you recognize those messages?
Yes, sir.
Are those messages between you and your sister on the night of October 4th?
Yes, sir.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the messages that you exchanged with each other?
Yes, sir, and around the same time. Because at that time, it took me about 30 minutes to roll. So I was sitting there in the parking lot for 30 minutes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 89. Okay. I don't know. I know you talked about your general practice of rolling a blunt in the parking lot after work. Would you smoke it there as well?
I would be driving on my way home smoking. Like
Okay.
I said, that night I got stopped by the train, so it took me an extra 20 minutes to get home.
Okay. So let me ask you, do you see this message here, this 9:46 p.m. message? All right. And that is that one from your sister?
Yes, sir.
And what did she say to you?
Can you grab me a car on the way home, please?
All right. So are you still at work at that point?
I was.
Okay. Had you clocked out yet?
No. I had my phone on me, but I wasn't supposed to, so.
Okay. I see. The next message is from who to whom?
From Leilani to me. She was sending a question mark after words because she always forgets to send her question marks.
Okay. So we got, can you grab me a car on your way home, please? At 9:46 with no question mark, and then she adds the question mark a few minutes later?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then I saw it right as I was clocking out,
All right. And you responded to that at what time?
right before 10 o'clock.
Okay. And what did you say?
I got some minis in the car. I got minis, but
All right. So we'll read the message just as it appears on the page, and then I'm going to ask you what you mean.
I got minis. I got some minis.
I got some minis. And what does that refer to?
Mini cigarillos.
Okay. And where were you at the time you sent that message? You said you just clocked out?
Just walking out the building.
Okay. And what's the next message?
She said, okay, you on the way? I said, in a minute.
And what time did you say in a minute?
At 10:03.
All right, and would you have been in the parking lot at that point, I guess?
Getting in the car.
Okay, and then what was the last message?
Okay.
And that was from her to you?
Yes, sir.
At 10:03 p.m.? All right, so no more text messages between the two of you that night?
No, sir. My bad.
So that brings us to your getting home or not being there, right? Tell us about your arrival at the house.
So I got home and I noticed that the Dodge Journey wasn't there.
Okay.
And so I went inside, I had the minis in my hand, and I had asked Danny, I said, where's Leilani at?
Where was it that you encountered Danny?
He was sitting on the bed right in front of to the door going into the bedroom.
Okay, is it on the bed in his bedroom? His and your sister's bedroom?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And you've got the minis in your hand?
Yes, sir.
Because you were coming to bring them to your sister? And she was not there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you see the children at this point?
I did. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but I know that Quinton was awake. He was in his playpen, and Zane was laid down on his race car bed.
Did you have any how do you know Quinton was awake? Tell me what you saw.
He was saying Danny. He was laying there, but he was saying Danny, just like that.
Is that something that he would do?
Yes.
Can you describe, like, was it just like normal kind of babbling from a child? Or?
He would say Danny's name repeatedly. I don't know if it was because it was easy for him to say, because it's only 2 syllables, Danny, you know what I mean? But that was one of the key words he said 95% of the time.
From your perspective, did Quinton seem to like Danny? Did they have a good relationship?
They had a decent one. I mean, Danny would get fed up with taking care of the kids all the time, but you signed up for it, brother. I mean, there's nothing else I can say to you. I can't sit here and say, don't be upset. You signed up for it.
So anyway, Quinton's you said he was laying down in his bag play?
He was laying down, kind of, more or less. He was still getting, like, so he does a lot of talking before he would go to sleep. So he'd just sit there and say Danny, or throw a little tantrum and pass out, or it was one of the two. He didn't like being in a dark room.
Did anything seem to be out of the ordinary in that room at that time?
Not that I saw. I walked in there, told Quinton to shut up and go to bed, and went upstairs.
And did Danny seem to be acting abnormally?
He seemed a little agitated that he was having to watch the kids again.
Okay. Anything beyond that?
I mean, no more than his normal whining about having to do something he didn't want to do.
Now, how long did y'all interact with each other?
About 10 minutes in the bedroom before Leilani got home.
What was the nature of that?
Just talking. He was complaining about Leilani, which I was already used to, and kind of getting a little bit annoyed of him whining. You don't like it, leave. I mean, it's not that hard.
Now, did you have anything to eat when you got home that night?
No, I didn't.
Don't remember getting anything to eat?
I don't remember it.
Okay. Would it refresh your memory to look at some text messages between Danny and Leilani about that, perhaps?
Yes, sir.
Man, Quinn, do you know Stacey's at 86 somewhere to the ground? Can you take a look at that second message from the top? You good?
Yeah.
Okay. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But does that refresh your memory as to whether you had anything to eat or drink that night?
I probably grabbed some Hawaiian Punch.
Okay.
Leilani was a little stingy about the kids' drinks and food now.
Now, after you probably or possibly got some Hawaiian Punch, what did you do?
Went upstairs. I watched the episode of One Piece.
What is that?
One Piece is the anime.
Okay, it's an anime show.
It was 23 minutes and 42 seconds exactly.
And what did you do after that?
Went to bed.
Did you come downstairs anymore that night?
No, sir.
Did you have to let the dog out or anything at any point?
No, sir. Not till he woke me up in the morning. Needed to use the bathroom, which was about 8:30ish. I got up at 9 and took him out.
Okay. What do you remember about that morning?
Just hearing yelling, and I thought it was the normal yelling. Then I come downstairs, and next thing I know, the house is surrounded by police.
Was that before or after you took the dog out?
After.
Okay.
But it was kind of like during, in the motion of me taking the dog out, a lot of police was pulling up.
All right. What do you remember hearing?
Just a whole lot of yelling. I couldn't make out exactly what it was. I was still half asleep, and I just kind of laid there until I heard it kind of die down or move away from where I could hear it. And then I got up and took the dog out.
Did you have any interaction with your sister that morning?
Not before she told me that Quinton was missing.
And where were you when she told you that? As far as you know?
Downstairs in the parking area.
Out in the driveway?
Yeah, next to the garage.
Okay. And what she look like at that point?
Complete mess, complete wreck. Trying to figure out where her baby was.
And what happened from there?
She had called the babysitter over to see if she saw anything, if she knew anything, and then the police was showing up at the same time as the babysitter had just showed up. And then the next thing I know, Danny's showing up.
And did you help look for Quinton?
Didn't get a chance to.
What do you mean?
By the time that everything was going on, we all got told we had to go down to police annex, and we was interrogated for over 17 hours by the FBI.
Did you? 17 hours?
Yes, I kept track of it because they were supposed to give me pizza. I'm still mad about my pizza 2 years later.
Did they? I think we saw you on some video bringing your sister some food at some point.
Yeah, then they bought the pizza afterwards.
Okay. So you got some food that day in any case?
Yeah, because I bought it.
Okay. Because you bought it?
Yeah.
Did you?
I DoorDashed it.
You're saying you DoorDashed it?
Yeah. After 12 hours of sitting there being interrogated, people get hungry.
Okay. So regardless of whether you had a good time there that day, did you cooperate with the police questioning?
Yes,
the
sir.
FBI questioning?
Anything they asked me, I told them whatever I knew.
Okay. And did that continue to be the case over the coming days and weeks?
Yes, sir, even while they hooked me up to the lie detector test and everything.
One moment, please, John.
This might be a good time for a short break.
Matt is finish our couple of that, John.
Yes, correct.
Do you, look, I'd like to approach with what I marked as State's Exhibit 90. I'm showing you what I marked as State's Exhibit 90, okay?
And let me just say, just so everything can be on the record. So Mr. Simon just apologized for not responding yes or no, and that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you take a look at these messages starting from the back, actually, and tell me if you recognize them?
Okay, so these are not text messages between me and Leilani. These are text messages between me and a coworker, and about a girl that thought that I was making a rumor about her, and I wasn't, and she threatened to hit us with her car. So we all kind of dipped out of there really fast.
Is this something that happened at work before?
Yes, this was nothing related to Leilani or Danny or anything like that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to introduce this as State's Exhibit 90.
No objection.
Okay. Exhibit 90 submitted.
Let me just ask you this. On the last page here, do you see this message where this person asks you at 11:40 p.m. what time you're going in tomorrow?
I said 12 because I was already planning on going in early regardless because I needed the extra money.
And that response from you was at 11:40 p.m.?
That's why I was already getting up, but then when they asked me to come in, it made it even easier to come in without asking for permission from the boss.
Okay. And this was on the night of October 4th, right?
Yes, sir.
Were you already up in your room at this point?
Yes, sir. He had texted me after I had laid down to go to bed.
Okay. And was this your last phone activity that night?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, if I have not already formally offered 88, I would do so at this time. Those were the Paul Simon, J.O. Duncan text messages.
I believe they already be in. Madam Clerk.
That's working.
Thank you.
And is that the case for 88, 89, and 90?
Not mine.
90 is just admitted.
90 was just me. Okay. One moment, please. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So there's mention of a break. I think this is a good time for a break. The time is 3:13. Let's come back at 3:30.
Jury's exiting.
Thank you, Birch. We're in recess until 3:30. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Step down, please.
We touched on it briefly, but we're supposed to get into polygraph.
Right.
I don't think it was anything Mr. Dean meant to elicit, or Mr. Simon, but let's make a motion in limine because it's kind of make sure that the witness doesn't mention that. I'm not going to ask any questions about it, but I just don't want to circle back around. So,
Did I let Mr. Simon go? Did he leave? It's okay. We'll have him back on the stand.
that's fine. I just want to go ahead and address it. Like I said, I don't think it was anything intentional. Didn't want to make a big deal about it in the middle of it, but it's something we probably should deal with before we start.
I'll address that with the witness when we return.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Simon has taken his place once again on the stand. He understands he's still under oath. And Mr. Simon, you mentioned earlier about polygraph. There's been a motion in limine which your court is granting. Do not mention polygraph. I don't expect you to be asked any questions, but don't volunteer any answers, any responses about a polygraph. Do you understand? Have any questions? All right. Is the state ready to proceed?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
Is it ready to proceed?
The defense is ready, Judge.
That was a no-no.
You're fine, Mr. Simon. Thank you very much, though. Mr. Hilliard, I believe you have Mr. Simon on cross. When we have them. Jurors, please. Thank you, Solomon.
Jury's not entering.
Thank you, Birch. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Thank you. Welcome back after that short break. Did anyone have any discussions about the case? Did anyone do any research? Okay. And with that, we will proceed. Mr. Hilliard.
Mr. Simon, my name's Martin Hilliard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. No complaints. I've got some questions for you, and I'm probably going to start on October 5th and work back a little bit. You were already at home on the morning of October 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you said you woke up, you went outside, took your dog outside.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to kind of approach the witness and show him State's Exhibit real quick. I'll show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 9. If you would, the upstairs bedroom that you stay in, which bedroom is that? Does it overlook the pool? Does it overlook the front yard, the side yard?
It overlooked the pool and the driveway.
Okay.
Because the way the bathroom was faced was towards the outside driveway.
Okay.
Then the room I was in faced towards the inside of the driveway.
All right. So based upon what you're looking at right there, would it be above the dining room or the living room or somewhere in that area?
By the living room.
By the living room?
Right above it.
Okay. And so you can look out over the pool and the patio and the parking area, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this other bedroom right here,
Look towards the front.
towards the front.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to get orientation. All right. So you were at home that night, around the night of October 4th, around 11:40, was a text message between you and your coworkers that Mr. Dean was just talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
You remember sending that?
Yes, sir.
Were you awake?
I was trying to go to sleep, so I was kind of trying to end the conversation pretty fast.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I was already laid down at 11 to go to sleep, and so when the text message came through, it kind of woke me up a little bit.
Okay.
And so I was just trying to get it done and over with, but yeah, I was a little bit awake.
All right. Well, let's just talk about that. So you were a little bit awake. Did you hear any doors opening or closing or a ruckus or anything going on at that point in time?
No, sir.
Okay. And I don't know because I don't know anything about the house, but if the door for the living room or the dining room open or closed, can you hear that from upstairs or no?
You can hear a car door shut, but you can't really hear the door shut unless it's slammed.
Okay. So if the dining room door, the living room door shut, you wouldn't necessarily hear it?
No, sir.
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if the car door outside slammed, you would definitely hear that?
Yes.
Okay. And so did you hear that at any point in time that evening?
Around about 11:20, I heard a car door shut, and it was Leilani coming back in from getting cigarillos. And I just kind of laid there and ignored it because I just finished my episode and I was heading to bed.
Okay. So about 11:20, you heard the car door shut. Now, in the morning times, do you hear when anybody leaves for work?
No, sir. Being passed out. After working, I don't really hear a whole lot.
Understandable. So you slept through the morning of October 5th till about 9:30, correct?
I woke up about 8:30, but I laid there until 9.
Okay. And you, at that point in time, had you heard anything?
I heard a little bit of yelling, but like I said, that was an everyday thing, so I just didn't pay no attention to it and laid there until I heard it move away where I couldn't hear it. And then I got up and let the dog out. And that was about 9 o'clock was when I got up.
And you said you heard some yelling. What yelling did you hear?
I just heard Leilani screaming, but I didn't know what she was screaming about or nothing like that. I just heard screaming.
Okay. And you were taking the dog out when that happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said the police showed up and Daniel showed up, correct? And you said that you heard the yelling and the police showed up, and you said Leilani was a complete mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
How about Daniel?
He wasn't really phased. He didn't look phased. He left work in a hurry, but other than that, the whole time he was more worried about what was going to happen to him throughout the whole thing, from what I saw.
Okay.
I mean, 3 days after it happened, he's up in North Carolina just that quick, boom, gone. I mean, that just strikes me as not good, not right behavior when you're supposed to be.
When they make an objection,
Yeah.
Just a moment, I'm sorry. Was there an objection?
there was an objection, Judge. So.
Mr. Dean?
Non-responsive.
Sustain.
I just-
Simon,
just a moment.
you have to let me ask the questions and you have to answer them, okay? So you were there that day and you were there all day, correct? On October 5th.
Yes, sir, until the police took us.
Right. So you said when Danny got there, he seemed unfazed. Okay. You said Leilani was a mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you answer all the questions that were put to you that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm curious, at this point in time, how long had you known Daniel Youngkin?
About 4 months. All I really knew about him before that was that he was one of Leilani's baby daddies. That's all I knew about him before that.
All right. So, and when did you move into the house on ⴜᴜ Road?
In about April, right after my birthday.
So, April of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this was in October of 2022, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and I guess when you moved in, Danny and Leilani and the kids were already there.
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay. Now, did you ever notice Danny and Leilani either using drugs or drinking?
Danny drunk every day.
Right.
He'd be riding down the road drinking a Fireball, little shot, consistently every day.
All right. And not being judgmental, but and Leilani smoked.
Yep, smoke weed.
And you did too. Did you ever see him do anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. And if anything else was done,
I would have told my mom.
okay. So that was not something you knew about.
No, sir. And I believe Leilani knew that, and that's why she constantly tried to hide it from me. That she was doing something that she didn't want me to know of.
Okay. And same thing for Danny, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, was it uncommon for the back door? I mean, if you don't know, that's fine. But how did you normally come in and out of the house? When you,
Through the back door.
okay. And was that pretty much how everyone entered the house?
Yes, sir.
And was it uncommon that those doors would be unlocked?
Normally, since I was the one that got off work, the last one to be home, it would be locked whenever my stepdad would be home. But if it was everybody else, I would be the one that locked the door before I went up to bed.
Okay. So, and that's kind of what I was getting to. Normally, you were the one who locked the door when you came in,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And do you have any recollection doing so this particular night, the
Yes,
night of
sir.
October 4th?
I locked it when I came in, and I went in and talked to Danny, and then went to bed.
And again, not being judgmental, but you smoke blunts. Do you smoke cigarettes, Paul?
I used to.
Okay. When did you quit?
About 3 years ago when I started vaping.
So you gave up cigarettes and started vaping?
Yes, sir.
How about Leilani? She smoked cigarettes?
Yes, sir.
And how about Danny?
Yep.
Okay. And whenever they were smoking at the house, where would they normally go smoke?
Either the front or the back.
Were there ashtrays out there?
There was ashtrays in the back on the back porch, and there should have been one on the front porch. But Leilani started smoking after a few months of them moving out in that room.
Now, you said you came in the night of October 4th, and you saw Quinton, Zane, and Sky.
Guy was in the little swing thing, that's where she kind of just slept in that. Zane was in his race car bed in the corner of the wall, and Quinton was right at the foot of the bed in the playpen.
And they were all good at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had you ever seen, you said Danny seemed agitated when you got home. Anything abnormal, or was it just his normal?
It was just his normal whining and complaining, but he just, like I said, he just seemed a little bit more agitated. But I was like, don't worry, man, she's going to be back in a little while. Just roll up the road.
Did you ever see Leilani that evening?
I did not. I had already went to bed before I had saw her.
Okay. All right. And did you ever hear them two arguing or bickering at any point in time that evening?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I got, James. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dean, any redirect?
One moment, please. No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, is there any reason not to excuse Mr. Simon?
Not on behalf of Ms. Simon.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, you are excused, sir. The state may call its next witness.
Melanie Bowling, Your Honor.
Okay.
Please close your right hand, please.
The evidence you shall give the court and jury in the trial of this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
This way, ma'am.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Melanie Bowling. I am 28 years old, and I'm a mama.
What is your city and state of residence? What town do you live in?
Glenville, Georgia.
And how long have you lived in Glenville?
Going on 8, almost 9 years now.
Okay. Are you a little nervous this afternoon?
I am, I'm sorry.
I'm always a little nervous in court too. It's all right. If you need a break at any point, just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the defendant?
I do.
How do you know her?
She used to live in the same neighborhood as me.
In Glenville, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. When you met her, how many children, if any, did she have at that point?
When I first met her, she had no kids.
Okay. And how did you meet her?
I met her through her ex-boyfriend, Cody Warden, which is her first child's father. I met him first because he lived out there and they started dating, and that's how I met her. And I looked at her and him as like little siblings that I wanted to help guide in the right direction. But that's how I met her.
And did you all live near one another for a period of time?
We did. We were right next door for a period of time, and then there was a period of time where she lived like walking distance from where I lived.
Okay. And then at some point, did she move away from Glenville?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that she moved away, did she have any children?
Yes, she had Zane.
Okay. So the time that she moved in near you would have been sometime shortly before Zane's birth?
Yes, it was about maybe 6 months or so before she got pregnant with him.
Before she got pregnant?
Yes.
And then was she living next to you, or next door to you during her pregnancy?
Yes.
And did she continue to live next door to you during the time that she actually had Zane?
Well, down a little bit, down the dirt road a little bit, but yes, it was still in the same neighborhood.
Okay, so you're saying by the time she had Zane, she moved walking distance away?
Yes.
Was no longer right next door?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's kind of take chunks of time. Tell me about the nature of your relationship with her before she ever had Zane.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, Cody, I met him first, and he was going through a hard time, so like my husband and I took them in as a, took him in as like a little brother to help guide in the right direction. She started dating him, and, I got good vibes from her at first. I never suspected anything bad, and I kind of tried to guide her in the right direction too. She ended up falling pregnant, and when she did, she was young, and I can relate to that because I was a teen mom myself. So I wanted to help her in any way possible to, with her child and be that support.
Were you friends with her during her pregnancy with Zane?
I was.
And did you remain friends with her after she gave birth to Zane and had him as a newborn?
I did, yes.
And did you all spend time together during both of those time periods?
Yes.
Did you spend time with her around both her and Zane?
Yes.
Okay. Were you all still living in the same town at the time she gave birth to Quinton?
No. Well, I was, but she wasn't.
Okay. Can you tell me where she was and when she had left in relation to when she had went?
So I know her and Cody moved to Alabama. That happened, and I guess they broke up. She came back to Georgia to, I think, Waycross or somewhere wherever Bubba Moss is from.
Waynesboro, is that right?
Waynesboro, yes, sir. I'm sorry, I get those mixed up. And she came back and she was staying with him in a camper, and she fell pregnant. They split up, and she went back to Alabama, and Cody helped her.
And you've talked about your contact with her during the time she lived near you.
Yes.
Right? In the same town.
Yes.
Did you all have daily or near daily contact at that point?
When she was pregnant with Quinton, we had it was about almost every other day, if not weekly.
Well, I want to ask specifically about when she lived in the same town as you.
Yes, every day.
Okay,
Yes,
every
sir.
day at that point.
Yes.
And then after she moved, and I understand it sounds like she bounced around a little bit.
She did.
What was the nature of your contact with her after she moved away from Glenville?
Text message and phone call, FaceTime.
And how frequently did you say that you would have contact with her?
So when she got with Bubba, it kind of drifted off a little bit, and that's, I don't know why, I can't tell you why, but we drifted off a little bit, and then she would, we contact out the blue. She'd call me, I text her, I call her, she texts me, vice versa, just to see how we are doing, I always checked in on her to see if she was doing okay, if the kids were okay, how they're doing, how big they're getting, stuff like that.
Did you talk to her on the phone regularly during her pregnancy with Quinton?
Yes.
About how often?
She updated me, with every appointment that she had.
Did she talk to you during those phone calls about things that were going on in her life?
Yes.
And tell me again how you viewed the nature of your relationship with her.
I viewed her, like I said, as a little sister that I wanted to help guide in the right direction.
So you're close?
Yes.
During her pregnancy with Quinton, where you're having this regular telephone contact with her, did it include calls?
Yes.
Did it include text messages?
Yes.
Did it include FaceTime?
Yes, a couple times so I could see Zane.
Did you ever catch up over fairly long phone calls, or were we talking about like 1 or 2 minutes?
No, these were like hour-plus long phone calls.
And that's during her pregnancy with Quinton?
Yes.
During that type of contact that you described, did she talk to you about the state of her relationship with Quinton's father, Henry Bubba Moss Jr.?
It was rocky. They were fighting a lot. A lot. Then was a time where they did break up, and she was depressed. Made some comments to me that were concerning, but they fought a lot.
Like what kind of comments?
The comments that, which I at the time wanted to think maybe she was like depressed and going through something. That was my thought process, but thinking of it now, I don't know. But she would say how she wished maybe if I didn't have Quinton, if I would have had the abortion like Bubba wanted me to, he would still be here.
Now, is that something she said to you after Quinton had been born?
She has mentioned it after and while she was pregnant, yes.
Okay. And how did you react to those kind of comments?
It shocked me. I mean, I was like, like what? Coming with, I have 3 kids myself. I'm not the one to judge, someone on abortions and stuff, but she didn't want to have one, and that's on her, okay? But I did not. It was really shocking. I didn't agree with it, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
I want to ask you a couple more questions about those kind of remarks.
Yes.
You said that she made those remarks both before Quinton was born and after Quinton had been born?
Yes.
Roughly how many times would you say you remember her saying things like that?
Off the top of my head, but while she was pregnant with him and right after he was born, I'd say about 2 or 3 times.
Okay. And you said that the nature of the comment was, maybe if I had had the abortion, Bubba would still be with me. And that was a remark she made both before Quinton was born and after he was born.
Yes.
Can I conclude from that then that Bubba had already left her before Quinton was born?
Yes.
There's at least, sounds like 1 or 2 times where she said this, like while Quinton was a newborn.
Yes, a newborn and while he was older, too.
Now, I want to kind of move forward in time. Did you remain in contact with her to one degree or another over the phone throughout Quinton's short life?
Yes.
Okay. And let's say from, between Quinton's birth to October of 2022, how often would you say you were in contact with her during that time frame? And I understand it's like 1.5 years.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to think. So she came to my son's party in 2019 with Danny. I asked her to bring the boys, and she said that her mom had them. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to remember.
That's fine.
What was the question again, sir?
Okay. About how often were you, let's just talk about, I don't know, the year leading up to October of 2022.
Okay.
When Quinton is no longer a newborn, okay?
Yes.
How often would you be in contact with her at that point?
At that point, so it could be weekly sometimes, and then it would jump from weekly to monthly. And then I would have to be in contact with her. I would sometimes not get any contacts back for a few months. Then it come out the blue, she'll contact me, and we can go from talking to each other for like 2 weeks straight, and then there'd be gaps again.
But in any case, it sounds like you never cut off contact completely.
No.
And would you, during this time frame, would you still sometimes have these long, extended phone conversations with her?
You did.
And would she talk to you about things that were going on in her life?
Yes.
And could you hear the children in the background at times?
Always.
Was there ever a time on any of these calls that you heard anything concerning directed towards Quinton?
I mean, besides, may I repeat what was said? It's cursing. Or should I blurt it?
Where your response is, you may give it.
Yes, ma'am. I want to get permission.
So the rules here are, if you're quoting, we would ask you not just like insert your own.
No, I just want to hit what she exactly
If
said.
you're quoting somebody, tell us what you heard.
Okay. There's been times when she has been getting on to Quinton, saying, will you get the fuck down, you stupid little shit. She will call them assholes, you little assholes. I told you to go do this. Now go do what the fuck I said before I beat your ass. called him a bastard child out of anger. I guess he was doing something like climbing on a table, and she told him to get down several times. And she's like, this is why I wish I never had you, wish I would have aborted you, and stuff like that.
And I just want to make it clear the circumstances in which you're hearing this. Are you physically present with her when you're hearing these things?
No, sir.
Right. You're on the phone with her?
Yes.
And you hear her saying these things over the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Let's kind of break these things down. You said something about her calling him a bastard child. You said something about his dad.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember about that.
I know when she would get really frustrated with him that she can be unpredictable and say things very harshly that a normal mother would not say. And about, I wish I never had you. Wish I would have had an abortion. I wish I never had your dad. Got with your dad, so I would have never had you. Stuff like that.
And are you sure she was referring to Quinton?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Because she would yell, Quinton, what the fuck did I just tell you? And then go on with what I just said.
I think you also mentioned asshole or something.
Yes, asshole. For him acting like a 15-year-old acting, or 15-month-old acting like an asshole.
Could you tell over the phone what he was doing, or if anything, or what was going on that caused her to have these outbursts?
I could hear the kids playing, screaming, running around, like what kids do. I have 3 kids myself, 2 boys and a daughter. So boys being boys, they get rough with each other. And, that happens, okay? But instead of hey, you guys can keep your hands to yourself, time out, and do the separate them or whatever, she would start cussing and snapping and yelling and calling names. Now,
how would you react, if at all? I don't know whether
I was speechless, sir. I would try to be like, hey, calm down. You're just mad. You don't need to be saying those kinds of things. You don't mean it, thinking, she didn't mean it. That was my assumptions. Okay, but I would try to calm her down and be like, hey, chill out. Take a breather. They're just kids. They're little kids. This is going to happen.
Did you ever hear anything that sounded, you've talked about, what you've talked about to this point, did you characterize it as verbal abuse?
Yes, and I've heard her whip them, but I can't, like I said, it's whooping, so I don't know if she's using her hand on their butt. I don't know what she's using. It's on a phone call.
Okay, so for that, you're saying you can't say whether it was or was not reasonable parental discipline?
Exactly.
But you've heard stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. Overall, based on all your interactions with her and all your observations, did you develop the impression that she felt differently about Quinton than she did about Zane?
Yes, because every time I would speak to her, she would always speak highly about Zane and her youngest one after she was born, but never about Quinton, even though he was the sweetest little thing ever.
What kind of things would she say about Zane?
Talking about how well he is, how smart he is, how he knows his ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, so on and so forth, the potty training, stuff about Cody and her, just talking highly about him and how good he's doing from when I last seen him as a little baby.
And do you remember hearing anything like that about Quinton?
No.
Just to be clear, did you ever yourself physically meet Quinton?
I have never physically met Quinton, no.
And is that because you all had already, she had moved away
right.
at the time before she had?
Yes, but I have FaceTimed him after he was born and seen him, I FaceTimed him and Zane and Sky when she was a little baby too.
1 moment, please.
Yes.
No further questions.
Ms. Bowling, you said that you met Ms. Simon in 2019 with Danny?
No, I met her in 2017, 2018 when she was dating Cody.
All right, maybe I misheard. You said you met her in 2019 at a birthday party with Danny.
She brought Danny to my son's birthday party that I invited her and her children to come to in 2019.
Okay, so you're saying that Danny Youngkin attended a birthday party with you in 2019 with Ms. Simon, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that's the hill you're going to die on?
I believe that was Danny, yeah. That's who it looked like.
Are you aware that she didn't meet Mr. Youngkin until 2020?
So that's not what I'm not aware of. I said because she brought that man to my birthday party.
Well, you just sat here under oath and said it was Danny Youngkin.
That's what she told me that was his name, Danny, that she was bringing through messages on Facebook Messenger, sir.
Ms. Bowling, when was the last time you actually physically... Oh, let me ask you this. When did you ever physically meet Quinton Simon?
I never physically met him.
Okay, so in 20 months of his life, you never once saw him in person, correct?
Correct.
Right, and when was the last time prior to that you had met and hung out with Ms. Simon?
Prior to his birth?
His birth.
Okay, prior to his birth was the birthday party, 2019.
Okay, so at least 2.5 years prior, well, maybe a year and a half prior to his birth then?
Well, actually, that was, yeah, roughly, yeah.
Okay, so at that point in time, had Zane been born?
Yes.
Okay, so now you said that originally y'all would talk every day. Mm-hmm. Then it was weekly, then it was every other week, then it was monthly, then it was every few months, correct?
Correct.
Okay, not really a strong friendship there, is it?
Well, sir, we did have a very strong friendship, but again, like I've said before, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and the path she was going down was a path that I clearly could not help her out.
Ms. Bowling, you and Ms. Simon started smoking weed together in 2017, so let's not pretend this is some sort of Sunday school
You're
thing.
right, sir, okay, but the thing is, I never done cocaine, I never did ecstasy, nor pills.
Okay.
That was in 2017, sir.
That was?
That was a long time ago, and I don't anymore.
Okay, well, congratulations to you. And that being said, was that the reason y'all hung out, was to smoke weed together?
No. The reason well, maybe for her, because she likes to use people, but to me, it was, hanging out with Cody, helping him get back on his feet, because of what he had to endure and go through at that time, which is a different matter from this court.
You have some rather unique beliefs, don't you, Ms. Bowling?
Believes.
Yes.
Can you define that, please, or elaborate it for me, please?
I can. Do you remember meeting with Mr. Dean on August 13th of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling him about some experiences you had on August 13th and conveying those to him?
Yep.
Okay. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not tell him that you had communed with Quinton Simon's ghost?
Yes, and if you would like, I can actually do it here and show you guys.
Oh, please, by all means. I would love to see this.
Give me a holy Bible and a candle, and yes, sir.
So, that being said, you told Mr. Dean this, correct?
I sure did.
And you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, your husband videotaped the seance, correct?
He did.
And anytime I'm making a misstatement as to what you said that Quinton Simon spoke to you through a candle.
He spoke to me through images. Okay, when I was in my trance, I couldn't see anything except for what he was showing me and what he was telling me as a 15-month-old could do.
Okay. And so he was a 15-month-old ghost speaking to you. Please tell me about this. I would love to hear it.
Okay, so this is what I did, and I lit my candle, had my Bible out, and I prayed. I asked if I could reach out to Quinton Simon, and here he comes, behold. Do I see him physically? No. But here he is, and he is Mama Mel. That's what I was always called by them. Mama Mel, help me. I said, with what? I said, help me, help you. What happened? He said, Mommy hurt me. I asked him, how did he hurt you? Or how did she hurt you, sorry. And he told me, she hit me in the head really hard. I said, okay. I was like, what else? And I said, did you, get any candy, thinking maybe he got into drugs or something? And he said, no. I said, okay, where are you? And he threw me the star of the church that's next to the landfill, on that dirt road right there next to Little Neck Road on the dump. He showed me exactly where he was in that pile, with his arm hanging out, lifeless, gray, and there's blood, in a bag that looked like it used to be like a bluish purple color, and he's throwing up blood. After I closed out the seance, I prayed, and I said, I wish you peace, and to pass on peacefully, and you'll get the justice you need. Okay, I prayed, closed it out, that was that, blew out the candle, turned on the lights, and my hoverboard that both my son had, that was completely destroyed, because he took it through a mud puddle. When you take a hoverboard, electric hoverboard through a mud puddle, it's done. It started turning on and off by itself and moving, even though it's completely done for, and I've tried charging it and nothing.
And what date was this?
What day was that? That was, to be honest with you, it's sometime in November of 2022. I don't know the exact date. I do not.
So this was after they announced they found remains in the landfill?
No, this is actually before the indictment report came out. I had the dream, which I told them already, but yes. Okay.
So it was in November, correct?
Roughly, maybe the end of October. It's in that time area. I also had a major craniotomy that year, so my memory's a little...
What's a craniotomy?
Where you have to have a major brain surgery. They take your skull off,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you had craniotomy?
I did.
And you told all this to Mr. Dean?
To Mr. Yes.
Mr. Dean. That's all the questions I have.
Melanie, is it fair to say that I brought you into my office to talk about concrete things that you heard the defendant say over the years about Quinton?
Yes.
Okay. And that you volunteered the information about the seance, right?
I did. Because I don't know if you guys recognize that kind of stuff or not.
And do you remember me telling you, well, I have to tell the defense about this because it's a thing you've said as a witness, but that it's seance information is not admissible in court?
Exactly, yes, sir.
And do you remember acknowledging pretty even-handedly that you understand that not everybody believes in these things?
I do, and that's why I didn't want to speak upon it like that. Yes, sir.
Now, you've said that you had a Bible with you when you were doing this.
Yes.
And it was a Christian Bible.
Yes, sir. I was baptized and raised as a Christian.
Do you remain a practicing Christian?
I sure do, sir.
Do you consider this some sort of prayer practice, what you're describing?
Yes, sir. I mean, in a way.
Do you consider it a private matter?
A private matter, yes.
How does it feel to come into court and essentially get made fun of for it?
You know, to be honest with you, it's kind of embarrassing because, like you said, not everybody believes in this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I was born with a gift that I call a curse.
Now, does any of this have anything to do with the things that you heard her say about her son, both before and after his birth?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Bowling, you're willing to hold yourself up to ridicule to get justice for Quinton, aren't you?
Excuse me?
Said you're willing to hold yourself up to public ridicule to get justice for Quinton, aren't you?
I guess so. I'm here to get justice for him, so.
What aren't you willing to do for Quinton's justice?
Well, I've done everything I can possibly for his justice.
Thank you so much.
Anything further from the state?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Statement, call its next witness. Who's bringing the jurors? I hear you. Wow, everybody's funny. All right, thank you, Birch. Everyone, please have a seat. And welcome back after your break. Did you have any discussions with anyone about the case? Did anyone do any research? Okay, all right, so let's begin. The state may call its next witness.
Step this one now. Take the clerk and raise your right hand.
And as we begin, this is the point at which we want the cameras diverted from the witness's face, from Ms. Carter's face.
The evidence you take in the court and jury and trial this issue should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Step this one out. Have a seat.
Good afternoon. And before we begin, are we good on camera, Engel?
Yes, but we got her when she was being sworn in, because we didn't know that that was the witness that was sensitive, so we'll have to tell everybody not to use that footage.
All right, thank you, Grace. All right. All right, Mr. Dean.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury here?
Hi, I'm ᴜᴜ.
And how do you spell your first name?
T-A-L-E-A
And your last name?
M-C-C-A-R-T-A.
Where do you live? What city and state? Not the address.
Savannah, Georgia.
Do you live on ᴜᴜ Road?
Yes, sir.
And did your family used to provide babysitting services for the defendant's 3 children?
Yes, sir.
Have I asked you how old you are yet? I'm sorry, I'm tired.
No, sir.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
Are you in school?
Yes, sir.
Where are you in school?
Homeschool.
Okay. And what grade are you in?
I'm 10. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Okay. That's all right. If you need a break at any point, just let me know, okay?
Yes, sir.
I understand you're starting a new job tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Where are you going to be working?
A Larry's Giant Subs.
Is that your first big girl job, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you know Quinton Simon?
Yes, sir.
How did you come to know him?
Through my mom and them and Miss Sandra.
And tell us about, well, who's Miss Sandra, first of all?
Miss Sandra is Tommy, Billy Joe's husband's sister.
Okay. And how do you, when you say you know him through Miss Sandra, what do you mean by that?
Miss Sandra went to church with us, and she just came up to my mom and sister and asked if my sister could babysit them.
Okay. And is that how the babysitting stuff started?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the beginning of that. How did it play out?
Miss Sandra had came and knocked on the door and asked if my mom could babysit some kids, and my mom said, well, I'll be working, but I can ask my daughter, and my sister said yes.
And what's your sister's name?
ᴜᴜ.
Is she older or younger than you?
She's older than me.
How old is she now?
19 years old.
Okay. So going forward from that, did you all start babysitting kids?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And between the two of you, you and your older sister, did one or the other have responsibility for one of the other kids? It's kind of a confusing question, but do you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir. My sister really had most of the responsibility, but I would be there to play with Quinton stuff and Zane.
Were you and your sister, were you or her closer to Quinton than the other?
It was both of us. Yes, sir. He really loved both of us.
Tell us about spending time with Quinton. Where would you spend time with him?
Throughout the whole house, Quinton, he would open the door, like when it was cracked, he would push it open with his hand, and he'll come in there and he'll love on you.
What door are we talking about here?
The bedroom door.
In your house?
Yes, sir.
And what do you mean by he come in and love on you?
Like, he'll run to you, open his arms, and just throw himself on you and give you a kiss on the cheek.
Did you like spending time with Quinton?
Yes, sir.
Now, was there ever a time where you spent time around Quinton and Leilani together?
Yes, sir.
And during those times, did you ever see her treat him in a way that upset you?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about any of those times?
With the console, like the PlayStation remote control, when she said that Quinton had got a hold of it, and it was the night before, and I guess she still got mad talking about it, so she pushed him down.
Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Where were you when this push happened?
She was by the tiki bar, and I was by closer towards the pool, where the little step is.
Okay, so whose house were you at?
Billy Joe's.
Okay. You're out back between the tiki bar area and the pool.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was it that caused Leilani to push Quinton?
She got mad because he had supposedly broken the controller to her PS4.
Okay. And how did this come up?
When I walked up, I asked her if I could get Quinton, and she said yes, please take him. And then she just let off the conversation because he got a hold. I'm pretty sure she said it was her brother's controller, and he was going to be mad at her.
And what time of day was this?
I'm going to say around 2.
In the afternoon, I presume?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said you came up. Where were you coming from?
I was coming from my mom's house.
And where was Leilani?
Leilani was outside.
Okay. In the back there?
Yes, sir.
And where was Quinton?
Quinton was inside.
Okay. And you said you were coming over to see if you could get Quinton.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
I know the night before her and Danny was arguing or something, and she had called my phone to see if I could come get him, and it was like around 4 in the morning. I told her I wasn't allowed at the house that late, and I didn't want to wake my mom up. She had work the next morning, but I would be over there the next day to grab him for my sister.
Did you say she called you or she texted you? I didn't catch that.
She called me.
Okay. She called you at like 4 in the morning and asked you to come take Quinton?
Yes, sir.
And why did she want you to do that?
She was getting aggravated with him.
Okay. So it's the next day that you went over to get her?
Yes, sir.
And what were you going to do with it?
I was going to grab him and take him over to our house.
All right. And is that something that you would do from time to time? Come get him and just take him?
Every day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was he like your buddy?
Sir.
Was he like your buddy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you come up, you said Quinton's inside, and Leilani is out back by the pool, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're there to get Quinton.
Yes, sir.
And at some point she pushed him.
Yes, sir.
At what point did he go from being inside to outside?
He had walked up because the door, you could see through it, so he had walked up and put his hands and his mouth against the door, and he was happy. And she opened the door, she put the door handle and she pushed it open, and she was continuing telling me the story, and Quinton started saying bubbles. He wanted bubbles. And she pushed him, took her hand and pushed the middle of his chest and pushed him.
And what was the bubbles thing about? You said he wanted bubbles?
He loved bubbles.
Okay. Are you talking about like soap bubbles that you blow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When she pushed him, what did she use to push him with first?
Her hand.
And where did she put her hand on his body?
Right here, in the middle.
And at that point, her hand's on his chest, and what did she do?
She pushes him.
And what happened to him when she pushed him?
He falls on his butt.
And what did he do?
He looked at me and held his arms out and started crying. And I told Leilani that upset me.
And what did you do it? You okay?
I'm good, I'm sorry.
When he fell, what part of his body hit? Did he fall on the ground, I guess?
Yes, sir. His tush hit the floor.
Okay. And you said he started crying and reached out his arms to you.
Yes, sir.
Did you pick him up?
Yes, sir.
And did you say anything to Leilani?
I told her that wasn't necessary because it happened last night, but she should have talked to him first.
And what happened from there?
I took him. I walked him home with me. I don't know what she did after.
So you talked about that one push. Was there anything else that you remember that was like that?
The pool incident.
What's the pool incident?
It was me and my sister, and I believe 2 of my nephews with me over at her pool swimming. And Zane had got in the pool, and Quinton wanted in there. And I was fixing to go grab Quinton to put him in there, but instead of her listening to me tell her, hold on, let me get his floaty on, she just full on pushed him in the pool.
Pushed him with what?
Her hand.
And where on his body did she make contact with him?
The back.
Like middle of the back, upper back, lower back?
The middle. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And she just pushed him in the pool?
Yes, sir.
And he didn't have any floaties on, it sounds like?
No, sir.
Okay. Was he able to swim at this point?
No, sir.
What happened once he was pushed into the pool?
He went underwater. When he came back out, he caught his breath, trying to catch his breath, and then he started crying.
Was he coughing or anything?
Yes, sir.
And how did Leilani react to that?
She said she really didn't care because if Zane could learn how to swim, then Quinton needed to be as smart as Zane.
Now, what did you do when Quinton came up and was coughing and crying?
I looked at my sister and I told her I'm going home, and then that's when I asked Leilani, I said, can I take Quinton home? She said, yes, I don't care.
And how were you feeling at that point?
I was mad because wondering in my head how she could push him in the pool knowing without any floaties and knowing he can't swim at all.
How was Quinton as you were walking home with him? Did you dry him off or anything first? Or?
I did dry him off. I wrapped him in a towel and he laid his head on my shoulder.
And what happened when you got home?
When I got home, I had put a pull-up on him and he went and laid on the couch with his teddy bear.
And did you lay on the couch with him, or did you just leave him alone, or what?
I went to go fix him some juice and then I laid on the couch with him.
How long did y'all lay there?
About 2 hours because he had fell asleep. Yes, sir.
Did you take a nap there with him?
No, sir, because I was afraid I was going to squish him if I fell asleep with him.
Anything else you remember that was like those two things?
Other than her getting mad at him with the stairs and stuff.
Tell me about that.
It was one night when I went over there and she was smoking. She had went upstairs and she was talking to me about Quinton's father. And she said she don't know how Quinton could look so much like his dad when she's the one that gave birth to him. And I said, well, I don't know, because I didn't want to really get into that kind of stuff. It wasn't my problem. And she just kept going on about it, and Quinton was down the stairs. And I said, Leilani, he needs help down the stairs because I had Sky in my hands. And she said, he's a big boy, he can do it. I said, no, he can't, because her stairs in Billy Joe's house was kind of weird. And I said, he needs help. She said, no, he doesn't. And Quinton just continues to roll.
Are you talking about the stairs to the second floor?
Yes, sir.
You said Quinton continues to roll? What do you mean?
When he tripped on the first one, and he starts rolling down. And I hand her Sky, and I grab Quinton.
How was Quinton when you picked him up?
He was fine. He really didn't cry.
Okay. Anything else you remember that was like that?
No, sir.
You mentioned that incident started with her asking or wondering how he could look so much like his father. What was her tone of voice like when she was saying that? I mean, she sounded happy, angry, sad?
She sounded angry.
Do you remember if you seem like a pretty mild-mannered person?
Yes, sir.
But if I asked you to tell me what it sounded like when she said it, would you be able to do that or not?
Yes, sir. You want the whole, just how she said it?
Yeah.
When I walked in, she was like, "Hey, I got a question." I said, "Yes." And she said, "How the F could Quinton look just like his daddy? I'm the one that gave birth to him." And I said, "I don't know, Leilani. I really don't know." She said, "Zane's been my number one since he was born, and Quinton's just sitting there and useless."
Anything else?
No, sir. There and useless.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling us last week about an incident where Leilani hit Quinton in the face? I think backhand was the word you used.
Yes, sir.
You remember telling us about that?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that now?
From the beginning, correct?
Yeah.
Zane and Quinton was out in the street. I was walking to the shed because that's where our laundry room that is.
Were you at your house at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said you had a laundry room in the shed.
Yes, sir.
So what were you walking out to the shed to do?
Do my chores, which was transfer the clothes from the washer into the dryer.
And at what point did you see Zane and Quinton?
When I was going towards the shed.
And what were they doing?
They were by the mailboxes on the other side of the road, going inside the ditch.
Okay. Were they in the road or next to the road or what?
They were in the road.
Okay. And were there any adults with them?
No, sir.
What time of day was this?
It was a little bit in the morning. I was saying around 11 or 12.
Okay. And when you saw them out there, what did you do?
I ran
Ran where?
to get Quinton and Zane.
And what happened next?
As I was going to get them, there was a white car passing with a lady inside of it.
I'm sorry to stop you. I don't mean to interrupt you because you asked from the beginning and I did say yes, right?
Yes, sir.
But I don't want you to tell us anything about what anybody said to you other than things that the defendant said to you, okay?
Yes, sir.
So let's skip the white car part, all right? So after the white car drove by, what happened next?
I took the kids back to my mom's house. My mom told me to take them to Leilani's. So,
Don't testify about anything anybody else said.
Yes.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, so you went back to your house and you said at some point did you take them back to Leilani's house?
yes, sir.
And why did you do that?
My mom told me to.
Okay. And where did you take them when you took them back?
I took them when I entered. It was behind where the pool part is, the back.
So you walked around the back?
Yes, sir.
And you had both of the kids with you at this point?
Yes, sir.
What happened from there?
I kept knocking on the door. Leilani would not answer, and I kept banging and banging. I just continued to bang until she answered. She came outside, and I said, "Leilani, Quinton and them was on the road," and she was asleep. And instead of her taking knowledge of what she had done, wasn't awake with them, she just backhanded Quinton in the face.
Can you describe that in a little more detail? What did it look like?
She raised her hand all the way back, and she just backhanded him. When she did, his head hit the concrete.
Where on his face did her hand hit him?
Right here.
And you're gesturing, I gotta say this for the court reporter and transcript and all that, you're gesturing towards like your cheekbone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that this knocked him down?
Yes, sir.
Did she hit him hard?
Yes, sir.
And when he fell down, what happened?
I looked at her, and then he started crying. He got up. When I lifted him up, he got up and he ran to me, and he started pointing to my mom's house.
Did you say that his head hit the concrete out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he ran to you, and you said he started pointing?
Yes, sir. Pointing directions to my mom's house.
Were you holding him at that point, or was he still on the ground, or what?
I think it was after a minute I did pick him up. Yes, sir.
Okay. And his pointing towards your house, what did you take that to mean?
I knew he wanted to go with me, but Leilani wanted them to stay.
Okay. Did you take him home?
I believe I took Quinton home because she didn't want me taking Zane home.
Were there any other incidents you remember that involved the defendant, Leilani, pushing him, hitting him, or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there anything that you heard, other than what you've already mentioned, and you've talked about some of this stuff, was there anything that you ever heard her say that caused you to believe that she didn't like Quinton or didn't feel the same way about him that she felt about Zane?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about those things, that if the ones that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yes, sir. She would call me over there and ask if she could talk to me. And I would go over there, and she would just complain about Quinton, how Quinton wasn't like Zane, he wasn't smart like Zane, and that the only reason that she loved Zane and she didn't love Quinton is because Zane's been through everything with her, and Quinton hasn't been through nothing.
Did she ever point blank tell you anything about whether she had any feelings of love or affection towards Quinton at all?
Yes, sir. She told me she did not love him at all.
She said that to you?
Yes, sir.
Where was that when she said feelings of love or affection towards Quinton at all?
Yes, sir. She told me she did not love him at all.
She said that to you?
Yes, sir.
Where was that when she said that?
We was on the back porch. He was in on the back porch. There's like a play area with a gate.
Is that with the brown couch in it and slide and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who was, you were out there, was Quinton out there?
I was in the play thing with Quinton, and she was by the tiki bar.
Okay. How did that come up, that she's saying that about Quinton at that time?
She was mad at Danny.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And how did it get on to Quinton and saying that about Quinton?
Because Quinton was making noises with his mouth, and saying he was calling out for Danny. He kept saying, Danny, Danny, and she kept getting mad about that.
She was mad at Danny at the time?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And Quinton was calling out for Danny?
Yes, sir.
And that's what led up to her saying that thing about Quinton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Quinton ever stay the night at your house?
Oh, yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. We would have Quinton for weeks at a time at our house. She never called to check on Quinton. But we never complained about it because we really enjoyed Quinton being at our house, being able to love on him. And I'm sorry.
You miss him?
Yes, sir.
Think you're ready to be done with this now?
It doesn't matter. I'm fine.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Were there times where Quinton would sleep over at your house, but the other kids would?
Yes, sir.
How did that come about? How did that happen?
When Leilani would say she's coming to pick up the kids, she would be like, oh, I'm coming, or Danny's coming to pick up the kids. Quinton would never want to go when it was her. So she was like, he could just stay here, it's fine.
How was Danny with Quinton and the kids?
Danny loved the kids a lot. He was good with them. He treated them how they were supposed to be treated.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Kim, the last time you were asked to talk about these incidents with us, you noted that these incidents happened in May, June, and July of 2022. Is that correct?
I didn't say. I said I didn't know the exact months.
Okay, well, the different incidents we've talked about.
Yes, sir.
All the incidents that you named, can you tell me when they happened?
No, sir, I cannot.
Okay. And when you saw them happen, the things that you've described here in court, did you call anybody like the police?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you call anybody like DFACS to report Leilani?
No, sir, I did not.
The PlayStation controller push you described, he fell back on his bottom.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see any kind of a bruise or a mark or a cut or anything on Quinton as a result of the push you say you saw?
Not at the time, no, sir.
And the pool incident, obviously that was in the warmer months, but you can't say when that happened either, can you?
I know it was in summer sometime, but I don't know the exact month.
Okay. And in Savannah, summer can be a pretty long time.
Yes, sir.
Same question as before, did you call the police about it, or DFACS, or any authority to report Leilani Simon?
No, sir, I did not.
The stairs incident, I think he went down the stairs and you got to him, but he didn't cry, did he?
Not for long. He didn't really let out a long one.
And you didn't see any marks or injuries or bruises?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, what kind?
It was a bruise on right here by his head.
Okay. Now the roadway incident,
Yes, sir.
okay? As I understand it, you were at your house and you saw the boys out there near the road,
Yes, sir.
right? And you went there, actually you ran to them, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
Because you recognize kids in a roadway with cars going by can be a very dangerous situation, can't it?
Yes, sir.
And it can be very upsetting.
Yes, sir.
And you knocked on the door, but couldn't get an answer right.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea how Zane and Quinton then got out of the house on their own?
Zane knew how to open doors.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And right now, in recounting these different incidents, you can't give an exact date about when they happened, can you?
No, sir, I cannot.
And we've already established you didn't call the police about it, call any authority or any DFACS to report what happened.
No, sir, I did not.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did you feel any regret?
When these things would happen, was there anybody you tell?
I would tell my mom.
No further questions.
Ms. McCarter, you're excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean, you may call your next witness. Is this the witness that's expected to take some time?
Yes, ma'am.
On second thought, maybe we'll take a stop. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to excuse you for the evening. We're going to reconvene tomorrow morning at 9:00 a.m. I think by now you know the routine. I will instruct you not to discuss the case, not to do any research, not to allow anyone to discuss the case around you. Please do not consume any media regarding this case. All right. And with that, you're excused.
Juris Equity.